Two screens, two different views. That's what we're all about. Welcome to Dual Screen Radio, where listening is good.
Hello, folks. This is Shane R. Monroe.
And this is Chris Hentschel.
Welcome to a very belated edition of Dual Screen Radio. My God, could anything else stop us from getting a show out, Chris?
I don't know. I mean, everything just kind of comes up at once, it seems.
I'm waiting for a tsunami to come by now and stop us from recording the show again, even though we're like right here where we're going to actually get to record.
Yes, finally we are here. We are not going.
Yeah, I know. A lot
alive.
of people were speculating that we weren't going to make any more shows. Well, that's just not true.
I'm sure we've been removed from numerous RSS feeds at this point.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back in the saddle here. We also have our new guest host today. My new little one, Brian Shane Monroe here. He's going to be squawking in the background from time to time. Hopefully he'll do it in ways that is actually funny and I can make use of it in the show. If not, maybe I'll be lucky and be able to get him out and post-edit. Who knows? But
well, it seems only reasonable to include him in the show, considering he was one of the big reasons why we were delayed in the first place.
That's right. It happens when your wife has a baby. Hey, see, there he is now. He just wanted to chime in. He heard that we were talking about him. Yeah, it's amazing how having a new baby in the house tends to put a block on just about everything that you do. Yes, that's right. See, I told you he was going to chime in at appropriate times. What are you looking at? Anyway. Oh, man.
Much.
As you can imagine, yeah, really. As you can imagine, having been gone for, what have we been gone for, 4 or 5 weeks?
I think the last show was like September 26th or something.
Oh, my
around
God.
there.
We didn't do anything in October?
That's crazy. Nope, not a thing.
Oh, man. Okay,
well, I mean, he came along around, what? Wasn't it like October 7th or something like that?
Yeah, it was the middle of the month, so.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, so we're a month and a half behind, but that's okay because we're going to make it up for you on this show. We're going to drop the editorial commentary, which people seem to think are hit and miss anyway, and we're going to give you 4 game reviews this time. We're going to talk about Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, Elite Beat Agents, Clubhouse Games, and the new Pokemon Ranger. We have some Twitch reviews here for you as well. We're going to talk about the new Battle Stylus that we just had a contest for. And we're going to give you the winners of that contest. We'll tell you a little bit about how we feel about that stylus. Of course, we have Storytime Theater, and the good news is it's not just me telling stories this time. Chris has a story.
Yes, I'm actually going to interject in this episode.
Outstanding. Of course, we're going to actually talk about what's out now, what's worth your cash, what's coming soon that might be worth your cash, and, of course, we have our ungodly, large, wieldy touch-and-go segment for you.
Because there's been almost 2 months' worth of news.
2 months of news, and I guarantee you that we're not even really current in here either. I mean, I know I haven't put news in here in a couple of weeks.
But, you know, there's definitely some things we'd like to talk about, some highlights of things that have happened. So I think it's
that are absolutely still totally relevant. So that's good stuff. We're going to forego the mail sack, and we'll tell you why shortly. We'll give you some links to some new videos, although they're not much new anymore. And, of course, we'll give you an update what's going on with the website. So, damn, Chris, this is going to be a long-ass show.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the sooner we get started, the sooner it's over. That's the best part.
I mean, a lot of people like the long shows, but then you get the people who just don't want the long shows. But
I can't listen to 2.5 hours. Can't you do it like 30 minutes a day instead?
You expect me to pay attention that long?
I don't have that long.
Like?
Yeah, I only work out for 20 minutes on the treadmill every day, so maybe you could release a show every day. Dude, we have trouble getting this thing lined up every couple of weeks. Can you imagine us trying to do a daily show? Oh, what was that other comment that we got? Why don't we have video and music in the background all the time?
Oh, yeah, we should have just a nonstop string of, like, some kind of tune playing in the background.
Yeah, we should have, like, that bouncing techno music in the background like they do on, like, those IGN videos and stuff.
So, this week on Touch and Go.
I just hate that crap. It just, like, drowns it out. It's like, what's that there for?
I don't know, but I know one of the podcasts at the time I listened to was Go Nintendo, and they always throw some kind of old, like, SNES or NES music in the background, like, kind of just chirping away. You know, I guess to fill the silence in between the talking.
Well, yeah, that's
just kind of drones on.
Yeah, if you don't do good radio, then you have to have music interludes in between because you have so much dead time. But if you keep things moving and you know what the hell you're doing, then you don't really need that musical bed. I mean, it's great for commercials, but guess what? Yeah, that's right, Brian. No commercials here. I'm going to translate for you when he talks. I'll let you guys know what he's saying.
Oh, good. I'm glad you knew the language.
Yeah. I actually took a course on it. It was right after Klingon 2. They had Baby Speak 1 right under Japanese 3. So I decided to take a course
easier
in
than
it.
Japanese.
Dude, I'm telling you what, man. There's only like 1 or 2 sounds you have to be able to make to speak baby talk. So
nice.
Good stuff. Well, heck, man, let's just jump into the reviews. A couple of these games are slightly older, but I feel that it's important with the holiday season coming up to look at some of the better things that have come out recently. And first up is Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis. So, Chris, I know that you haven't gotten a chance to look at this in a while, and I'll be honest, I haven't had an opportunity to play it too much either, as of recent. But what do you think, man? What do you think of Mario vs. Donkey Kong?
I thought it was a fun little game. I got through, I think, the first 4 worlds or so. 3 or 4 worlds, I just kind of blasted through them. And the difficulty was a lot easier than the previous Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, which I wasn't really much of a fan of, to be quite honest with you. I really can't put it down what I didn't like about it. I think it was the fact that you weren't able to really run through the levels in your own course. It almost seemed like most of the levels had their own set way of being completed and perfected.
Right.
And something that isn't the same in the sequel. The sequel leaves a lot more, I feel, experimentation, to get through the levels. But the gameplay itself is completely different. Anybody who's played the old Mario vs. Donkey Kong on the GBA, well, not that old, a couple of years ago, it's actually more of a sequel to the original Donkey Kong from back in the older black and white Game Boy era, a game which I am very fond of. It was one of the best games for that system. It's just a great little system, and or a great little game on that system. And it was about, like, I'd say maybe 100 levels. And then the GBA sequel came along, which I was thinking, well, this is going to be maybe more of the same, just with some obviously updated graphics. But the gameplay, I thought, suffered a bit. I couldn't really put my finger on it. I didn't care for it. The game was created by the Nintendo American branch, I guess is the best way to put it. And same with this sequel, Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2. And well, the gameplay is just totally different in this one, and I like it a lot more than I did on the GBA prequel.
Okay, just to give you an overview, I just realized that maybe not everybody's played any other version of Mario vs. Donkey Kong. The basic goal here in Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 is to get your little Marios, your little toy Marios, to the goal. And if you're thinking, hey, that sounds kind of like Lemmings, you're right on the money.
Yeah, it's dead on like Lemmings.
This is dead on in terms of the goal and the feel of Lemmings. When I first started playing this, I'm going, hey, wait a minute. I've played this before. It was called Lemmings. But instead of giving attributes to each of your little characters like you would in Lemmings, you instead control the environment or control how your character interacts with the environment. So you may be tasked as your toy Mario to get to the goal, which is across the chasm. Well, in this case, which is very simple, you'd use your touch screen to grab your drawing blocks and draw a line of blocks across that chasm so that he can navigate across it. Now, this is a real simple concept. You have to understand, though, you only get one set of blocks at a time. So you have to move that set of blocks from one ridge to another chasm to another chasm to try to keep floating these guys around to get them all to the goal. You have things like springboards and all sorts of other interactive things.
Elevators. You get elevators.
Exactly.
You can hold down the arrow. There's a little arrow up and down button, and you can press on that with the obviously the stylus, and it will lower and raise the platform, which allows you to navigate the little Mario clockwork guys up and down.
Yeah, and you can only carry like one at a time. So if you're wondering, yeah, there's a lot of strategy involved. While Chris said he blew through the first few levels, it does get harder. And they do make it more complex. And, of course, there's always that amazing Nintendo feeling where you have to play it again to get a better score because you're awarded bonuses for getting these guys into the goal one right after the other. So it's not just a matter of getting them all to the goal. If you want a good score, you have to get them into the goal immediately, one after the other. And, like on the original Mario Brothers, if you knocked over a bunch of turtles and you hit them in succession, you get like 800, 1600, 3200 because you did them all really quick right next to each other.
Right.
Same idea with this game. So not only are you going to be worried about how to get the Marios to the goal, you're also going to be worrying about how to get them all to the goal at the same time or roughly the same time so you can get that bonus.
Plus, you have the one, every once in a while you'll get a gold Mario.
Yeah.
And you get him in last, I think it is, right?
Yeah, I believe it's last, yes.
And, you get them all lined up, and one after another as they go in, as Shane said, your score just kind of multiplies. Boom, 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 boom.
It's one of those horrible addictive things like Robotron when you're picking up humanoids, and they're worth progressively more.
Or the best way even I could think of it was in the original Pac-Man when you get a super pellet.
Absolutely.
The more blue ghosts you pick up after you get the pellet, you get a more leveled up scoring system.
Yeah, and this one, it's not just a matter of getting them in sequentially. You have to get them in a certain period of time. So in other words, if you put one in and he gets I think it's 800 points, but if the next one doesn't follow him right away, then he's only going to be worth 800 points. Yeah. So it's actually really, really cool. And you use scratching or gestures to move your Mario guy around. You can you make little swipes on the screen to make him move, make him jump, make him stop, etc., etc., and you'll find tons and tons of strategies. Now, this game has tons of levels. There's tons of play value, and of course, you're going to be going back to play it again to try to get that golden Mario, to try to get those higher scores.
Perfect the levels to your best ability.
But if that wasn't enough, it also throws in a complete construction set for building and testing your own levels. Now, the construction set, I've worked with a lot of construction sets in the past, a lot of them, all the way back to Adventure Construction Set, which, by the way, is a cross-plug, will be on the next Retro Gaming Radio. You like how I just managed to segue that in? Isn't that good?
Nice.
Pinball Construction Set, for those of you who are, over the age of 12, you probably remember Pinball Construction Set and some of these other cool construction sets.
Game.
But anyway, so not only can you build and play your own levels, but you can share them with others over the Wi-Fi connection. How cool is that? So it's a very robust game, not only from the game point of view as a strategy game, but it's also robust as a construction set, and it's a shareable kind of a social tool. Because everybody wants to make a level that, nobody can beat. It's like the old Lode Runner days, right? I mean, you remember that, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Making these insanely complicated levels that, within an inch of your life you can only solve. So,
well, one thing we should point out, though, is the fact that these levels that you create on the Wi-Fi are only available to those who are on your friends list.
That is absolutely correct.
It's very, very limited. I don't want everybody to get all excited and say, "Oh, this is fun. I'm going to be able to just, make a level, and just say, oh, here, I'm going to give it to everybody." Unfortunately, you're only able to you're limited rather to the people on your friends list that you can always share peer-to-peer, I guess.
Yeah, and I do believe, if I remember right, and again, it's been a couple of weeks, I should have refreshed myself, but I do believe Nintendo can push new levels to the Wi-Fi service. So in other words, Nintendo doesn't have to be on your friends list. You can just hop up there, and there could be new levels made by Nintendo up there for you to download.
Just suck them down.
Yeah, so there's some infinite kind of replay available there, and I haven't been up on the Wi-Fi to see just how well it's taken off. But it's a great little title. It's very slick. It's very well put together.
It's a very polished game.
I don't have really anything to complain about, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just a great game.
Yeah, I think the one of its probably one of the complaints I'll probably have against it is that there's so many other games out there that's going to get lost in the shuffle.
Absolutely, that's a big problem with a lot of great DS games. It's just there's other ones that are out there that may be better, and I think every single episode we talk about this. But it's important, A lot of people are on fixed incomes, and we get a lot. Should I get Mario or should I get Elite Beat or should I get Clubhouse? So, we have to temper this with, if you're a fan of Lemmings and the Lemming-esque type thing, but you could care less about Elite Beat agents, well, Elite Beat may be a better game. Go with Mario vs. Donkey Kong. It's all a matter of personal preference. But if this even sounds remotely like your kind of game, it is a well-done implementation of it. I recommend it.
And the little control scheme, as you had alluded to earlier, is really cool too. Tap one to activate them, and tap them again to stop them. And you swish back and forth over top of him to make him go left or right, or you move up to make him jump. So it's really neat the way they figured that out. Although scrolling back and forth across the screen, it can be a little bit of a, you're kind of freaking out as that little clock's running down. And you're sitting there, you realize you have one left in the left corner of the screen that you kind of forgot about.
That is a good point. There is a level of strategy that is added to by having that scrollable screen. Because normally, I do believe the last Mario versus Donkey Kong, did the screen scroll on that one? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't all contained in one screen, as far if I can remember. Yeah, I know the. I don't even think the original Game Boy one was just positioned in one screen. I think it scrolled to a degree. I mean, this isn't like a vast scrolling. This isn't something like the original Super Mario Brothers or anything.
Right. No. No, you can keep track of things. It's just, you're going to do some shuffling around. But the controls are so good, using the D-pad to scroll around and stuff, that it's, once you've played it a little while, it's totally natural. So I wouldn't count that too far against it. I'm definitely going with a stylus up on this game. I think it's one of the more polished games we've had this last quarter. Definitely lots of fun, loads of replay value. And it's even my kind of game. Again, as Chris alluded, there are just so many other games that have been stealing my attention away. This gets shuffled back, but definitely it's something I'm going to pick up again and finish at some point in time. Chris?
Yeah. Well, I really I had a good time with this game, especially, as I said, compared to the last one on the GBA. So I'm going to have to give it a stylus up as well. It's a nice little game. I wouldn't say it's up there as one of the first games I would recommend. I mean, I want to recommend it, but I don't want to say it's you have to get this right away kind of thing. I mean, I would say definitely check into this game after you've picked up the next titles we're going to be discussing. It's kind of like a second tier title, compared to, say, New Super Mario Brothers or maybe even Elite Beat Agents. It's a fun game, so. Yeah. I gotta recommend it. There's nothing really wrong with it. To me, it seems like it's a little on the easy side. But then on the other hand, for those people who are trying to get all the perfection in the levels, to make sure they get every item available, there's a lot of replay value. That's where the difficulty really comes in. You could easily just blast through the level. Granted, I have pretty much caught everything I can think of offhand. I think there's only been a level or two where I haven't been able to collect everything. But even still, later on, when you blow through the whole game, you have that ability to want to go back and just say, I'm going to collect everything and completely finish it off. Yeah. It's kind of similar to something like Princess Peach, where you want to collect all those toads.
Well, you didn't have any choice to collect the toads if you wanted to finish the game.
Yeah, right. But in this game, it's a little more leisurely in that respect.
Yeah, I think there's really only one game of this kind on the DS. If you're looking for that Lemming-esque look and feel type thing, there's nothing else other than this. So if you've been jonesing to play Lemmings,
way to recommend it.
Since Sony owns Lemmings, you'll never see it on the DS. This is going to be your
total
follow-up.
Crime in itself. I mean,
considering
Sony had nothing to do with the Lemmings to begin with. Money talks, so man.
I freaking hate it. But hey, let's move on to Elite Beat Agents. Now, Chris and I are both bubbling to talk about this. You may recall back on a previous show, we reviewed a Wendon. What's the whole name? Do you remember the whole name, Chris? These things just kill me.
Aso Tataka. A Wendon.
There you go. See,
that's close enough. I'm not. That's not 100%. That's close enough.
That's really good. Yeah, Chris and I are going to have to gush about Elite Beat Agents being, what would you call it? Not a sequel to a Wendon, not a prequel.
I just think it's a separate game in itself. It's an Americanized version of the whole playing gameplay. I can't even describe it. The game is just so out there.
The game, it's the American version of a Wendon. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
It has many new upgrades, though. There's some new upgrades in terms of how it looks, how it kind of plays.
It plays the same. It's got the same kind of engine going.
Yeah.
You're doing the same things. But the graphics, the music, the sound effects, the gameplay itself, while the same, has been changed. And they're more or less bookends to the DS collection, I guess. I mean, they both complement each other in that respect.
Yeah, and if you have one, you're going to want the other. It's not like Elite Beat Agents is just a Wendon in English.
No, exactly.
And likewise, if you have Elite Beat and you love it, you're definitely going to want to pick up a Wendon, get it imported if you can, because there's a different feel to it. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about the basis of Elite Beat Agents. The basic core of it, Elite Beat Agents, is a rhythm game. In other words, sort of like Dance Dance Revolution or any other game where you tap or interact in time with the music. Elite Beat Agents allows you, using the touchscreen and your stylus, to tap in time to a song in pre-designated hit zones on the screen. Some of them are just as easy as hitting a circle. Other ones have you actually dragging between circles a little ball. They show you a path between two circles, and you have to successfully drag that ball between the two circles, sometimes back and forth between them. Sometimes long paths, sometimes short paths. But in any event, you will find yourself frantically tapping, scratching, and tugging at your touchscreen during the course of playing Elite Beat Agents. The basic core of it is you play through a song, and for each of the levels, and each level has a story behind it. I'm going to let Chris comment on that because he knows a lot more about the story stuff than I do.
Well, some of the stories are totally crazy. Anybody who's played a Wendon will see that this is straight up this developer's alley in terms of zaniness.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly the original Wendon, it was hard because when we first got the game, or I first tried the game, you had that Japanese thing going on where you couldn't really figure out what you were supposed to be doing. But luckily the game, it was very easy to pick up. And going through some of the stories, you can tell there's these characters come in these outfits, and they're basically cheering for you. They're boosting your confidence in performing a task that is so overwhelming for certain people, and in these really strange situations. Now, in the new Elite Beat Agents, as the title says, you're in control of these Elite Beat Agents, who are these government appointed agents, I guess, some secret service somewhere, that are on the move to more or less do the same thing. Anybody who's in a strange circumstance of where they're being beat down, these guys come in and save the day with their music instead of their cheering.
Think of them as muses. That's how I get by. You can think of them as cheerleaders, because that's kind of the way that they're portrayed. But I like to think of them as muses. Muses inspire through song and dance.
Well, I know in the Japanese version, they're actually called the Cheer Squad.
The Cheer Squad, yeah. So, I mean, I know, and all these guys are going, no, that's a girly man game. I know play a game with his cheerleaders. No,
these are cool cheerleaders.
No, these are cool cheerleaders. Cheerleaders kick your ass.
Especially when the girls get unlocked. You can unlock the girl versions, yes. But, some of the stories are a little crazy. The first level, which is playable in the Download Station Volume 3, allows you to help this girl who has to babysit these kids. And in the meantime, she has the local football champ over, and she's really trying to get in cahoots with this guy. She wants to go steady with him.
Yeah. So, she's not trying to get in bed with him. She's trying to go steady with him. This is a family-friendly game.
It's really crazy, though. I mean, they're everyday situations that aren't really serious situations. I mean, because something like that isn't exactly news-breaking. But,
no.
And then you have the one of the cool levels I liked was the kid playing basketball, and he's got his dog with him. And the next thing you know, the dog goes over to take a nap, and he ends up in the back of somebody's pickup truck, and he ends up in the middle of nowhere. So throughout the level, the better you do, it'll reflect on the screen the storyline of the dog getting back to the boy.
And I think that's really cool. I mean, a lot of people, including myself sometimes, in fact, Chris just informed me of this sort of thing the other day. A lot of people will just jump through the story to get into the game, which is what I do, and you don't realize that how well you play affects that storyline, which I think is a really cool thing.
Yeah. I mean, that depending on how well you do, you'll see little differences in the artwork, or just the overall ending of the level. I know that's something actually that's been added to this game that wasn't present in the Wendon. the better you do, you'll get a different ending. You'll get a better ending than the typical ending that you would normally get if you pretty much go through and get. Most of the levels are comprised of, I guess, 3 checkpoints, where leading up to the music, depending on how good you're doing, how well you're pulling off the moves, you'll either pass or fail at that point. So you'll see the person either getting through their dilemma, or they'll just run down and wear themselves out and fail at it. And getting through all 3 of these will give you a more positive ending, where if you skip one and make it through 2 others, you'll get more of the middle to low ground ending. I know in the one level where it features a baseball player, and it's something simple, but you notice it. At the end, if you no matter how bad you do, even if you get all 3 of them struck out, you're still going to win the level, because your beat level, which comprises the entire level at the top of the screen, constantly goes down. The better you hit the little, what do you want to call them?
I call them like pads.
The beat pads, I guess.
Yeah, I call them beat pads.
The more accurate you hit the beat pads, the better you hit them, the more you score. Will raise this overall level of the gaming, and it'll stay from yes to no. So if the meter reaches down low enough, it'll be in low. That means you're going to fail, and eventually, if that runs out, you lose the game. But if you end the level with a no, you're still going to win the game, as long as it's not completely run out. Now, what's cool about the baseball player in particular is something small like this, but if you beat the level with all 3 positives, the character at the end scores a home run. But if you strike out 1 or 2 or all 3 times, he only pops a fly in the right field. So, and stuff like that. It's just it alters it to just minorly, but it makes you want to go back and see all the little differences in the game, because this is definitely a game that you want to pick up and play again. You can't put it down. I got to play one more time. One of those type of things. I mean, I was playing in bed for about an hour and a half the other night, the same level. Just trying to beat it.
Yeah, it's a very involved and engaging game. When my friend Troy, who's my current producer over at Retro Gaming Radio, he comes down like once a year just to kind of visit and hang out and catch up. And I put a Wendon in his hands, and he was glued to it for hours. I mean, he just wouldn't put it down. Yeah. It was stunning.
It's very easy to pick up. It does take some time to kind of get adjusted.
There is
how the game is played.
Yeah, and there's a tutorial that takes you through it. Right. Yeah.
Because it's funny. I mean, even my wife, who sits there and she's been trying to play the game, because I think deep down she really wants to like it, especially since everybody seems to be hubbubbing about it, and she's seeing ads on the TV. So when she sees an ad on the TV, it's kind of like, oh, well, wait a minute, this game must be good then, So
exactly.
she'll want to try it more. Unfortunately, she's not doing very well at the game at all. She'll be sitting there, I completely suck at this game. I don't like this game. I just can't stand it. But the next thing you know, she's constantly playing it. I look over and there she is playing it. She's a glutton for punishment, I guess. Although I don't remember any other game she's done that with. Normally she retreats to Mahjong in Clubhouse.
That's funny. Part of what made the original Wendon so great was the selection of music that they used. In fact, I can thank Wendon for getting me hooked on the Japanese pop group Morning Musume, as they have a cover song. Thank you, Chris, by the way. And I have in turn got many other people addicted to Morning Musume. But it's all compliments of coming through Wendon. Now, a lot of people were saying if they didn't get the Japanese music from Wendon onto Elite Beat Agents, that it was going to suck and it wasn't going to be a good enough game if it used American music and whatnot. But after going through the game, Chris, what do you think?
Well, it's 2 different things. It really is. I mean, you get those Japanese elitists, those Jap fans, as they like to be called in the inner circle. I know that's I'm just quoting what they call them.
This is what they call them. We're not stereotyping.
There's people that think, well, this is an American game, so it's got to suck, but the Japanese one's great. It's the same way, like, American fantasy art sucks, the Japanese art is fantastic.
Right,
even though I've even seen it lately in the, I don't know if you've seen, like, the Wii Zelda box art.
Yeah.
You know, the box art for the American release is, I'm sorry, unquestionably a lot better in this case. And even though the Japanese box art is completely generic artwork we've seen plastered on EGM and everything, they're all saying, of course, the Japanese artwork is miles better. So it's things like that where people just go into it, not even giving it a chance, just based on the fact that, well, it's American. You know, this isn't any good.
Yeah, it's got to
now,
suck.
What's funny is the Japanese music, I don't know how, but it really does work for me. I don't understand a word they're saying.
Me neither.
But something like music, I like to feel is kind of universal in that respect. You know, I mean, the music itself, the beat and the sounds coming from the song,
the feelings
that you're getting from the music are pretty universal. So I think Wendon works in that way. You know, I know right off the bat. I mean, you know, Shane's now a sucker for these Morning Musume girls.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, early on, I know when I was trying this game out, I brought it to his attention. It was kind of, I don't know, this game was kind of that, you know. And
yeah, I know. I'm totally converted.
I figured, you know, I wanted to try it out. Everybody was harping about how it was one of the best DS games around. And you know, of course, the Japanese throws you off. So I went in and tried it out. And, you know, it's a really great little game. And the music, it's totally playable even with the music. I dare say I like a lot of the music in the game, even though I don't understand a lick of what they're saying.
Absolutely.
The first two levels in particular.
Yeah, those are perfect. In fact, I actually grabbed music videos for the two of those songs just because they're so ingrained after playing a Wendon.
And even though it's Japanese, you can totally feel right at home with the storylines that are present in the game itself. You know, the secretary trying to rush to her boss's aid, you know, or the kid at the beginning trying to pass his exams, you know, what has his family driving him crazy. And the Americanized music is, and I know that's what everybody wants to hear now, you know, in relation to the Japanese music, it's hard to compare in that I know pretty much most of this music in the American release, you know, and for us, the Japanese music was completely new. Now, you know, looking through this song list, which we'll be happy to give you.
Yeah, do you want to read that song list to them?
Sure.
I've got it up right here.
A couple of these bands, I mean, I've heard of, but I've not really heard much of their music.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the first song on here is actually something I have heard, and which is shocking because I don't think a lot of people know of this band. Walkie Talkie Man by Stereogram, ABC by Jackson 5, Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne, I Was Born to Love You by Queen, Rock This Town the Stray Cats, Highway Star Deep Purple, YMCA by the Village People, which is really a fun level.
That's a great level.
Even the dancing portrayed by the characters is pretty reflective of what you can expect from that song.
It's fantastic. That's like one of my favorite levels so far.
Yeah, September by Earth, Wind and Fire, Canned Heat by Jamiroquai, who's actually a British performer, Material Girl by Madonna, which I think you were the first one to bring this up because I don't think I had gotten to the level at the time, or maybe I just didn't even notice because I was caught in the gameplay. It seems more like a remix. It's a lot more fast-paced, you know, than the original song. So I was totally bombing the level because
you were trying to tap
the
old rhythm, yeah.
Exactly.
And it's important to note too that neither on Wendon nor on Elite Beat Agents are these the original songs by the original artists. They are covers of, you know, I'm not even sure if there's a specific cover band that they used, but they are all covers. They're none of the original music. But some of them are so good that, you know, you may not know the difference.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are, it's something like Material Girl right off the bat. It's obviously, it's a cover song.
Yeah.
But then again, you get something like Walkie Talkie Man, and I swear that is dead on.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard the original of that, and it's dead on. So anyway, getting back to the list, we have La La by Ashley Simpson, another winner. Pass, thank you. You're the Inspiration by Chicago. That is probably one of my favorite levels. It is a little hard, and I think it's because it's such a slower paced song.
Yeah.
That it's hard to keep up on there's really no ongoing quick beat, you know. Survivor by Destiny's Child, which is I think one of the unlockables. I have not gotten to that yet.
Yeah, me neither. And I like that song too, so I was looking forward to playing that.
And looking back on it, ABC by Jackson 5, that is also another unlockable. That's not something available right off the bat, which is really cool. Unlike a Wendon, where you'll blow through the entire game and not have anything else to do other than go back and try to perfect your scoring and unlock the cheerleaders. This game actually has I think it's at least 3 different songs on this list that you can go back and unlock by replaying and getting a better score. So it adds some more gameplay value and long-term longevity over the game. Survivor, Destiny Child. Okay, Without a Fight by Hoobastank. I'm not really up on all their stuff. Believe by Cher. That's another unlockable level, which I know you're anxious to unlock. Cause
I'm anxious to unlock. I like that song. Hey, what can I tell you? I'm a Cher slut.
Let's Dance by David Bowie, which I thought sounded pretty dead on.
That sounded pretty dead on, dude.
That level is very difficult. I just could not get the beat of that level going. Jumping Jack Flash by Rolling Stones. I don't want to spoil it for you, so I won't really talk about that, but that song really plays into the game at a really cool moment, and it really makes you want to win the game. Makes No Difference by Sum 41, no clue. The Anthem by Good Charlotte, no clue. So I can't comment on some of that music.
Yeah, my kid knew what that was.
Oh yeah, I mean, the younger generation. But the point is here, some of these levels are actually easier in. Yeah, so it was a lot easier to play some of the levels in this game than it was in a Wendon because you actually knew the music. These were songs we were familiar with. Obviously, in a Wendon, the Japanese music, we had no clue, what these bands were. So it was easier to follow the beats in the American stuff, other than a few of the songs I have not heard of. But most people have heard ABC and, YMCA and September and, You're the Inspiration. So it was a lot easier to play through the levels,
And I'm telling you right now that knowing the song will dramatically increase your score. Yeah. I mean, after listening to the Morning Musume song a ton of times, I went back to a Wendon and I breezed through that level.
Among others.
YMCA, dude, I breezed through that level. I mean, I didn't even skip a beat.
Nice.
So it definitely helps to have an intimate connection with the song. And that's really kind of cool. That's a good reason for them changing the music. And I think it's important. I was a little on the fence at first about, the whole Americanization of the song and stuff, but it worked out.
Now, the thing is, I mean, obviously there's some bombs in here. I think a lot of the more recent songs.
Yeah, a couple of them, yeah.
Because, you could easily say that most of these songs, these older songs, are timeless classics, quote unquote.
Yeah.
From classic groups or bands that everybody, they're just not going to go away. 10, 15 years from now, everybody's still going to know ABC by Jackson 5 or YMCA by Village People. But 10, 15 years from now, is really anybody going to remember Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne? So it's really going to age the game, I think.
Yeah.
But in that respect, from what I understand, in a Wendon, it's kind of a similar idea because everybody's harping about how amazing a Wendon is. But in reality, and somebody was saying this, remember that song, Linda, Linda? Linda, Linda. Supposedly over there, that song is almost as annoying for us. It would be annoying for us as something like, La La for Ashley Simpson.
Interesting.
That's almost like their La La, more or less, if I read into that correctly. So even Morning Musume is more of a recent band, and believe it or not, there's a lot of people that cannot stand them. Yeah. So I guess it falls into the same kind of aspect of Ashley Simpson or Avril Lavigne. So, yeah. You're not going to have winners all around. I think overall they did a really good job. I know some people were complaining there wasn't any rap involved, and
thank God.
Thank God there's no rap involved. Now, personally, I would have liked to have seen some more 80s stuff in there. Like,
me too.
I think Devo would have fit in perfectly, and their quirkiness and their weird music would have been fantastic.
Absolutely.
Something like Whip It or Safety Dance from Men Without Hats. I mean, you could go on and on. But a few of the songs especially really fit the level. Something like Jumpin' Jack Flash is really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, and it's important to note as we follow through this review, it is a single-player game. There's no two-player options. There's no Wi-Fi options. It's pretty much 100...
No. There's multiplayer options. You have not played the multiplayer, huh?
I have not played the multiplayer. I did not even see it.
It's got multiplayer, man.
I totally suck.
Unfortunately, I haven't played it, but I've seen video clips and I've seen the. It helps that I've actually looked at the manual, but it does have single cart play. It actually has demo distribution.
Yeah, I knew about the demo distribution. Yeah. I was getting to that one.
But it does have multiplayer where you can play against an opponent on the level, and you're basically. I don't know if you want to say it's like a jam session, but you're both competing, and it actually has different new characters that you play as in the top screen.
Well, damn, now I'm gonna have to play that.
One of the
level
has two different guitarists rocking against each other, trying to get the bigger, jam session string going in terms of the guitar. And another one I think is kind of focused around a basketball court or something. I have to actually sit down and try it. I've just been trying to get through the single player game. I really wanted to talk about this game, so I wanted to at least go through the single player match, and I was trying to get into the multiplayer. I just didn't have a chance. But definitely, dude, there is multiplayer involved. I think there's single and multi-card. Yeah.
Well, I will take back my thing, and on a future show, I'm gonna take this to work like I usually do for
doing an addendum.
Yeah, I'll do an addendum to let you know how the multiplayer is, because for me, half the time when I'm playing the DS, I'm playing with somebody else.
Well, even a Wendon has multiplayer.
Yeah, of course I couldn't tell.
But the problem is, you
Japanese.
need. Yeah, but on the other hand, I don't think it had single card play either. It had a demo. I think it had demo distribution, but it does not have. It was multi-card only. So, and come on, finding somebody with another Wendon card is pretty hard.
The odds, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And good for Nintendo. Again, I'd like to compliment them once again on making gaming a multiplayer, localized social event.
Especially for a game like this. I mean, this game's just got party written all over it, and
absolutely.
For craziness. One other quick little thing I want to mention before we wrap this up is a couple of little additions to this game, which I think are really cool, and a couple of things that they took out, which aren't a big deal unless you've played a Wendon. But the one thing I really like is how they had added skips to every part of the level. So you can just jump right into it. So if you lose a level, you don't have to go back and watch the cartoon over again. You could do that to a degree. You could skip it to a degree in a Wendon, but there was another part where you'd have to sit and watch, and especially in the last level, it would take, just literal seconds upon seconds to get started. And in this, you can just jump right to the meat of the game right away, which I think that's a fantastic addition to this game. But otherwise, there's some little things that are missing. I really miss there's certain little sounds and whistles that were in a Wendon that you kind of miss here. But then again, you got things that are dead on that were in a Wendon sound-wise. Some of the little things like the flames that would heat up. You get the flames rising from the bottom of the screen when you were doing incredibly good.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, there's really nothing to complain about other than a couple of maybe the songs that just don't really fit right. I know the Jamiroquai song right off the bat. I hate that level. That is the worst level in the game. Not because maybe the music is bad necessarily. It's just that the song just doesn't seem to have a good beat to it to fit the game. I think that was one of the failed missions, personally. I mean, even Lala came off a little better in that respect. But,
how sad is that? Yeah.
But so what do you give this game for a review?
No-brainer, stylus up.
Yeah, stylus up, easy. I highly recommend it. I would have to say it's easily in the top 10 games to buy. And, I consider it a miracle that this game even made it to the American shores to begin with, in any degree. Just the fact that it's here. I mean, the gameplay that is present here, it's just amazing. I mean, if it wasn't for this game, we'd be stuck with Happy Feet, which we'll be discussing in a future show.
Oh, my God. Let's not even talk about Happy Feet ever.
No.
Happy Feet may get knocked down the elf bowling.
Happy Feet tried to steal fizzy lifting drinks from a Wendon and this game, and
they failed
absolutely miserably.
Yeah, that's all you need to know about Happy Feet. It is a
horrible abortion of a game.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So Elite Beat Agents, 2 stylus up. This is a no-brainer, folks. I mean, it's going to cost you a little more probably, but it's
$29.99, dude.
There you go, and it's
worth it.
One of the largest cartridges out there for those of you who decides if a game is good by how big the cartridge is, how much it stores. It's one of the largest cartridges out there. So
it's got all that music going on. It's compressed, but it sounds fantastic. I thought through the DS. It's nice and loud. Even in the light speakers, which I think are a little noticeably.
I've noticed that about the game.
Softer.
It's very loud. It's louder than almost every game that I've ever played. Even on the light, which is really cool. So.
Now, the value in this game is just fantastic. Though.
It's fantastic.
I mean, I've totally blown through the easy level. I'm on the last level of the normal mode. Even the easy level is tricky. I mean, it gets a little difficult even in easy. But even though I've already beaten pretty much 50% of this game, I'm still going back trying to perfect my scores. Because if you can get a perfect where you hit all the beat pads, if you hit them all, you get a perfect. If you depending on how well you do, you get graded on a letter system from A to D. So it's always fun to go back and try to go for that A, which I'm failing miserably at. I the most I'm getting a B, and that's even barely. So
yeah,
a lot of replay value to this game, especially when you want to unlock the extra levels. So definitely a stylus up, huge stylus up for me.
Yeah, definitely recommend it. Well, it's so funny. We rarely talk about games that suck, and we're going to continue that trend by talking about, again, possibly on my top 5 list of games for the Nintendo DS, Clubhouse Games, which is the latest in the Touch generation. Is it the latest still, or is it something else?
Well, Elite Beat Agents is Touch generation.
That's right. So I guess it's not the most recent. But Nintendo's push for common people to play games, the Touch Generation series, and Clubhouse Games is absolutely for everybody and anybody.
There's something for everybody here.
Absolutely. There's 42 games packed into Clubhouse Games, ranging from card games to table and board games, up to including things like mahjong, darts, bowling, pretty much anything that you'd play in an actual clubhouse. You're probably finding this game. And the best part about it is it's Wi-Fi connectable. You can always find somebody online to play. It's local playable, single card playable. Just it's the fantasy game for the DS. I mean, if you could imagine, if you were to come up and say, I need a card game. I want a casual game for the DS. I want to be able to play with my friends. I want to be able to play with my friends across the water. I want to be able to play with anybody. This is it. I mean, this is the absolute fantasy game for the DS as far as I'm concerned.
And you know what's funny is you mentioned across the water. I assume you mean in Europe.
Yeah.
Their version of the game, which is 42 all-time classics, is completely compatible with this game. So you're going to be able to play with everybody in Europe and in America. So
as well. So it's great.
I mean, how cool is that? I mean, there's one of our guys on the forum, Bat Winky. I mean, he seems to be on there quite a bit, and I believe he's from Sweden.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're always playing. Well, not all the time, but I remember early on when I first got it, he would always pop up. I just haven't been on enough. That's my problem.
Yeah, lately, again, as we've said before, there's just so many great games that, you end up moving along after a couple of weeks. No matter how great a game is, it's like, well, there's something else I want to try. I want to try this new game. And Clubhouse Games, when we first got it, we were there all the time, playing darts, playing bowling, playing one of the many, many card games. And let me tell you, folks, this package is so slick. It's so well put together. Everything about it is so well done. The interface, every game comes complete with a rule book that you can pop open at any time and consult. Sometimes with little animated graphics in it to show you how to swing the bowling ball, how to drag your cards, whatever. The whole thing just absolutely drips with style and panache. And for those of you who listened to a previous show where we talked about the Japanese version of Clubhouse Games, which I'm not even going to bother to try to come up with the name for that, but this has got a completely...
Dare Demo or something?
Yeah, Azubasa Zahu Dare Demo. That's pretty much what I remember.
We come in peace.
We come in peace. Where you keep the white women at. No, this game has been totally remade. It's got a whole new facelift. Everything is so slick, from the dartboard looking more like a real dartboard, the darts looking better than ever, to the thumping sound of the darts when they hit the dartboard. All have been improved from the Japanese version of the game. Some of the other little things, I mean, I could go into detail about some of the games, but it's darts. It's bowling. These are games that you've played before. It's hearts. It's spades. It's old maid. It's rummy. It's throw me some other ones in here.
Blackjack.
These aren't games that are going to fool you. Now,
what was the other one? Soda Shake, Dominoes, Mahjong.
Yeah, Mahjong's in there.
And what's the Battleship clone?
Grid Attack.
Grid Attack, which
It's Battleship.
Pretty interesting.
It's Battleship.
Yeah, and you could play 4-player Battleship. That's something that's quite interesting.
That was way cool. I've actually done that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, we played it.
That
was great. You, myself, and one of the guys from the forum. Actually, no, it was you and your. How many of us was there? Because
there's 3 of us. It was me, you, and my kid.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Not Brian here, of course. I'm still trying to get him to hold the DS properly, but we're working on it. He's only like a month old. So, but yeah, I mean, everything that you could possibly want. Let's look at the Wi-Fi connection, because this is absolutely fantastic. Somebody actually put their thoughts together. Now, this uses friend codes. And I know that you're going, friend codes. I'm so sick of friend codes. But as always, you can also play worldwide, or you can play only with friends. Now, there's some really distinct advantages to playing with friends, and I'm going to get into that. When you go worldwide, you jump into the Wi-Fi connection, you select the game that you would like to play, and then you wait for people to show up and play with you. Now, things like billiards, there's a very simplistic pool game. It's a game of 9-ball. The physics aren't great, but it's still, amazingly enough, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I play a lot of billiards.
It was a little bit of a disappointment for me.
Yeah, which is funny because there's the same people that make this also make a full-blown billiard game that's coming for the DS as well. And trust me, it is not piss-poor physics. It's a fantastic game. But enough of that. We'll talk about that later. But it's a very simplistic game of 9-ball. It's a lot of fun. But as soon as you have enough players to match that game, you're in. So, like, if you go to billiards and you're waiting, as soon as somebody else hops on, you're in the game. If you go to bowling, you can play up to 8 people bowling at one time. Now,
totally cool, man.
Which is totally cool. Now, in the worldwide mode, you have to wait until either all the slots are filled or a certain amount of time passes. That's similar to Mario Kart, and a lot of people don't like that motif. And neither do I, really. I'd like to be able to say, okay, well, there's 3 people, let's play.
We need a cutoff button, basically.
You need a cutoff button. But then again, you got to think about it. What if another guy popped up, and he was hoping to have an 8-person throwdown on bowling, and as soon as he popped in, you cut off. So now it's just you and some other dude. Sometimes
what's to stop anybody else from hitting a cutoff button? Maybe they didn't choose. I don't know. It kind of goes around and comes around. I just can't figure it out.
It's a double-edged sword.
On one hand, I'd love to have it, but I could see why it wouldn't work.
But now, when you get into the worldwide mode, there is on every single game a chat mode. Inside the worldwide mode, when you're playing against people that are not on your friends list, which is pretty much all the time when you're in the worldwide mode. I've never accidentally ran into a friend of mine in the worldwide mode. But you have a series of chats that you can have
presets.
Chats while you're playing. Inside the chat, there are presets. There's I think 25 messages. Things like, eek or nice game, good game. Good luck.
Thanks.
That was lucky. Thanks. Blah. So there's a bunch of canned replies. This keeps people from drawing penises and curse words and things like that and setting it to a minor. Boobies. Atas.
Or, would you like to meet me in my house? 13-year-old boy?
Yeah, 13-year-old boy. Yeah. Yeah.
We could play Clubhouse in person.
We could play Clubhouse in person. Would you like that? So when you're playing in that mode, you do not have an actual chat screen more than you have an instant message thing with a limited number of possibilities.
And it does work.
It works. It works, but
it's enough to get your point across,
But I'll tell you, it lacks the charm, because we're going to talk now about the friend mode play. Let me tell you what, folks, this kicks so much butt. So you hop on the Wi-Fi connection. You can either find a room or start a room. So you start a room and you wait for people to show up. And as soon as enough people show up, however many you want, you can cut off. You don't have to have 4. So if just one guy shows up and you want to play, you can play with 2 people. Once, as the room owner, you're in control. You choose which game to play. Now, this is kind of weird, but probably, 80% of the games are playable online, and then there's 20% that aren't. Most of the big ones are playable online, though, right, Chris?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the bowling, the darts.
The big heavy hitters, the ones that you're going to want to play are pretty much online.
Spades, blackjack.
Texas Hold'em.
There's a lot of weird games. I think President you can't play online.
Now, one of the things that's really cool that I don't want you to forget here is that while you're playing against, say, 4 of your friends,
Yeah.
there's an option in the options where you can turn it on so that your chat or your room is visible, so that while you're playing the game, these people, other friends can still join you, although they won't be able to play the current game. It will allow them to see what's going on and talk. You can talk to them while they wait for you to end the game, and then they can join you in the next one.
Yeah, it's like a lurker mode.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it, lurking.
And it's fantastic. I mean, this is like a no-brainer. Every game should have this.
And also another thing that's really cool another game should have is the fact that, getting back to, say, 8-player bowling, okay? Say Joe Schmo over in Liverpool drops off.
Yes.
The computer will fill in for him rather than ending the entire game.
Yeah, don't tell me that doesn't kick so much ass. That is
so Nintendo's really done a fantastic. This is easily the best implement of the Wi-Fi Nintendo has done so far.
Hands down, this is the Wi-Fi game to own. And it's incredible. Now, let's talk about chatting with your friends. I'm telling you, folks, I end up missing my turn. Well, you can't miss your turn. The game stops until you take your turn, but I'll be sitting there doodling. They give you a scratch pad, sort of like PictoChat, and you've got colors, and you can draw stuff, and you can fill, and you can do all this stuff, and it sends it across to everybody that's currently in the chat room. Now, here's something that's kind of cool. Aside from, basically being able to draw boobies and atas and, penises, that sort of thing, it's fun because you get to actually see people's own handwriting. There's something special about that. And I know nobody uses PictoChat, nobody plays Ping Pal, so this will be a lot of people's first experience with a real-time chat that really works. What's interesting about this is once you get beyond all that, which is way cool, in every Wi-Fi connection game from Nintendo, you have a trusted connection with other people that are trusted by your friends. So if Chris's dad is trusted by Chris, and he's on his friends list, and I start a room, Chris can join the room, and so can his dad. I don't have to have his dad on my friends list to have him come into the room. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, how do you prevent, somebody from bringing his, dickhead little brother in or whatever into the room when you don't necessarily want to talk to that guy? If the people that are brought into the room that are not on your friends list chat, they're only seeable by other people in their friends list. So I can see Chris's messages because he's on my friends list. I can't see his dad's. And his dad can't see mine, but he can see Chris's. Does that even make sense? Did I say that right?
No, you did it perfectly.
Okay, so that's really cool.
It's basically putting the people who aren't on your friends list into a worldwide kind of mode.
Yeah, an ignore mode, I guess.
You're playing, you can play against them, but that's it.
Yeah, and you don't even get the option to send them the pre-canned stuff either. Basically, when you send a message, it's broadcast to everybody on your friends list, and the guy that's not on your friends list sees,
it's blocked.
He sees that you said something. It's like, Dark Uni says to Chris and to Bob. He sees like a little thing that says he said something, but it doesn't say what they said. It doesn't show you what they wrote. So that's way cool. And let me tell you, some of these games, and card games are no-brainers. I mean, it's a touch screen. My wife plays Clubhouse Games just because it's a touch screen. I mean, she's got Ultimate Card Games for the GBA, and she plays that to death. But there's something magic about playing card games where you can toss
physically
cards,
feel the cards into the stylus and manipulate them on the screen.
Manipulate them. Now, let me tell you where this really works out. Bowling and darts. These are probably the two games that have controlled my life on Clubhouse Games. Darts are incredible. You take a hold of the dart by touching it on the bottom screen, and you slide your pointer forward to toss it. Velocity, aim, everything comes into play, and the dart flies up to the top screen and hits the dartboard. I'm telling you, if you want to engage the non-gamer in your family, put darts in front of them. Instantly engaging. And the cool thing is there's multiple variations of pretty much every game. For example, in darts, a lot of people have played darts with what's called 301, which means that you have to score a double to even start scoring. Your score starts at 301, and everything that you hit takes your score down. And the first person to get to 0 without going over wins. So that's 301. Well, there's variations, too. There's a 501 variation where if you want a longer game, you can play from 501 points down to 0. There's also some people that just throw darts at a dartboard and they count how many points they get, and whoever wins after 10 darts wins. They've got all three of those modes in Clubhouse Games. So if you want a short dart game, you play, a 10-dart throwdown. If you want to play a longer game, you can play a 501. They even include, which to me is like the most brilliant dart game ever, cricket, which means that you have to score a certain number. You have to score 3 of every high number on the field, from 15 up to the bullseye. Once you score 3 times on a 15, the next time you hit a 15, you get 15 points, unless the other players have already gotten their 3 15s. So I don't want to get into a big discussion about what cricket is, but suffice to say there's a great variety. You can turn on card auto sorting. Some people like to sort their cards, some people don't. There's different variations of how to play. It's so in depth it would take us like an hour to go through the entire game properly.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just every game seems to have its plus and minuses in terms of options, and something like darts is just there's so much to do with darts alone. I found that the darts and the bowling are easily my favorite too.
It's so great.
Although some of the physics in the bowling are kind of a drag in that
you can't
really
spin it.
Exactly, you can't put any kind of arc in the ball.
No arc, no spin, no.
It's more of a direct kind of throw. You have to have the ball in front of that pin.
Yeah.
The only other way you're going to knock the pins down is if they hit them.
Yeah, so. And there, it's really good. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It's so brilliantly put together.
Yeah.
And I brought up a list of everything that's in here because I wanted to make sure that people knew what was in here, and I didn't want to miss anything too, which I realized I did with the word count game. The games include Old Maid, Spit, I Doubt It, which is also known as BS or Liar, Sevens. Yeah, because a lot of people go, well, I don't see, BS in here, and I won't say what it is because it's a friend's game. It's like, dude, they're not going to put a game called Bull S in this title. It's a family title. Why don't you look under I Doubt It, because that's the same game. Pig. Intermediate card games include Blackjack, Hearts, President, which is also known as a bunch of different other games, Rummy, Seven Bridge, Last Card Plus. Advanced card games include 5-card draw, Poker, Texas Hold'em, Nap, Spades, and Contract Bridge. And 12 different board games, Checkers, Chinese checkers, which, by the way, if anybody's Chinese, do you guys call it something other than Chinese checkers?
They probably just call it checkers.
They probably just call it checkers. Dots and boxes. What was that called before? There was something else dots and boxes was called.
You know what? I forget what. I mean, we used to play. I remember when I was younger. My grandmother and I used to play this all the time.
You play it like on graph paper, right?
Well, no, actually, I mean, we didn't even. We didn't have graph paper. Like she would go over to like my school, my folder from when I was in what is that, the lower grade. I mean, I was like in maybe 3rd grade, 2nd grade.
Yeah.
And she'd go over to my work folder from school and pull out like a sheet of just lined paper, like copybook paper.
Yeah.
And then pull out a ruler and then just draw, about 10 lines going vertically on the paper. So there was our graph paper right there, because the lines, it was copybook paper. So it already had the lines going horizontally, so she would draw them with a ruler vertically. And then we would just sit there with with one pen, and we'd swap it back and forth, and we'd draw our little lines in, or little dots.
Right.
And I can't remember what she called it at the time. It was something, not grid something, but I'm getting all thrown off because of Grid Attack. But it's something I remember playing, and I was like, oh my god, I remember this. I haven't played that.
I didn't know it was called Dots and Boxes, but I played this before.
I think it might have been, maybe that is what she called it. I think she might have just called it Dots or something like that. But it's something like that, yeah.
Anyway, to round off the list, Hasami Shogi? Shogi? I'm assuming it's Shogi because it's Japanese.
I think it is Shogi.
Reversi, Connect 5, and Grid Attack, which, as we mentioned before, is Battleship. The advanced lineup includes Backgammon, Chess, which is actually a pretty decent game of chess, by the way. Shogi, I was saying track and field because I saw field. Isn't that funny? Field Tactics, which is Stratego, basically.
And that's a game that you have to unlock, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and then Ludo, which I think is also an unlockable. Ludo is equivalent to what we might call Sorry. here in the U.S. It's a very interesting board game, and I swear to God, the computer cheats out of his ass. And my wife says that the computer cheats too. And let's see, there's a couple of other interesting games in here, including Soda Shake, which, I could do without.
I don't quite get that.
It's like the pass the bottle one. I think they just kind of threw that one in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where, hey, we got like 5K of memory left here. What
can we put in there? Oh, Soda Shake. Let's put that in. Dominoes, which, by the way, is absolutely fantastic.
I'm actually having a good time with Dominoes. I've never really played Dominoes much before. Maybe when I was younger when I played all these games, but
yeah.
I'm a little rusty, obviously. I mean, I kind of forgot a lot of the rules, but I was having a lot of fun with it in Clubhouse.
And as a bonus, there's like 10 different variations of dominoes you can play, too. It defaults to like 5-point dominoes, but there's like tons of other ones. Koi Koi, is that how you pronounce that? Koi maybe?
Is that an unlockable? I don't even remember.
It must be an unlockable, yeah. Word Balloon, which is one of my all-time favorites in there, which is an elegant version of Hangman.
Yeah.
And, Word Balloon's cool, especially when you're playing like 3 or 4 people at a time. Balance, which is like Jenga, if I remember right. It's kind of like Jenga. Billiards, as we mentioned, bowling, darts, and Takeover, which is sort of like a, what was Takeover like? I don't remember. I was just going to put my foot in my mouth.
Most of those unlockables I haven't even come close to unlocking yet.
Because
you have to go through and it's something we haven't mentioned. It's called the stamp mode, where the computer forces you. It's not forced, I guess, but it's a mode where it sets up all these little scenarios. You have to play each game a specific amount of time, and it shows you a whole big chart showing your progress and what you've played and if you've won it. And it's not even a matter of you winning the games. As long as you played them, you've gone through. And it starts out real easy, but then you get to the point where you get to games where you just suck at, games that you're no good at, and it demands that you do, get so-and-so of this amount, or, beat blackjack beat the dealer this many times, or whatever. I mean, or beat checkers. Some games where I'm just not very good at, I just won't be able to beat this thing. That's what sucks.
And the good news is you can,
I won't be able
as
to
long as you
that.
play 3 times, even if you lose, you get a stamp, and you have to get 3 stamps to clear out at each game.
Right.
So even if you lose
problem.
every time, you'll still get a stamp.
There's certain games though where you have to. It actually tells you must complete this goal.
I think you're thinking mission mode, dude.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, you're thinking mission mode. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, never mind then.
Yeah, stamp mode. Stamp mode is nothing but endurance. As long as you're willing to play stamp mode, you will get through it.
And is that where you unlock everything?
Yeah, well, not everything.
Well, see, there you go.
A lot of stuff.
I think that's my problem. In mission mode, you still have to unlock stuff in there, and I'm never going to be able to unlock it. Because
let's talk about mission mode for a minute. Mission mode is insane. Mission mode is basically how you unlock extra avatars. From what I've seen so far, I haven't completed mission mode, but from what I see, is how you unlock extra avatars. And there's like 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 30 different avatars that you can unlock. And basically, mission mode is performing certain challenges inside of a given game. For example, in dominoes, you must score 20 points within 3 rounds. With blackjack, you have to earn 500 chips. In bowling, you have to get 3 strikes in a row. In darts, you have to hit 3 bullseyes with 10 darts. So some of them are very simple, and some of them, like Chris said, I have not been able to unlock. What's the one I can't unlock? There's one that, I've just played over and over and
Guild
over.
Tactics? Or no, you've played that.
I haven't played that one yet. It took me forever to unlock word count.
Yeah.
Because word count is basically Hangman. You get 10 failed attempts before you lose.
That sucks, man. I'd love to unlock that.
In 10 attempts, you have 10 misses. In the mission mode, in mission mode, you have to solve 3 puzzles with 1 set of balloons or 10 misses. Mm-hmm. So in other words, for 3 full words, and they don't pick easy words, by the way. They pick stupid words, hard words, things that have Q's and Z's in them just to piss you off.
What's it called, though?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, basically, or they'll throw in like a European name like racket. Instead of like racket, like you would normally think racket, R-A-C-K-E-T. It's got like, yeah. Which my wife's like, well, that's a real word. I'm like, yeah, it's a real word. But,
of course,
come on now.
Your wife here is bringing sensibility to the factor.
Yeah, well, see, this is what's really interesting. I just finished this word count game. in the mission mode. It was awesome. I was on the last letter of the last word, and I had one miss left. And the word was jesting.
Jesting?
I'm sorry. Was it jesting or besting? I didn't have the first letter. My wife and I sat and stared at it, and we decided it had to be a B or a J. BJ. It had to be a B or a J, and I know I have to have a little potty mouth humor in here somewhere. And so, we couldn't decide which it was. I had one left. I had solved 2 other words. This was it. I would have unlocked it if I'd have gotten this one right. And it turned out, I think I tried besting, and it was jesting or something like that. My wife's like, I would have tried a J. It's like, no, you wouldn't have. You would have tried the B. Of course. So I didn't get to unlock it that time. That was the closest I'd come, and then finally I did unlock it. But those are the sort of cool little challenges. So the game is not only a great solo experience, it's a great multiplayer experience, and the replay value is absolutely insane. In terms of, basically, if I'm not engaged in some other game totally deep, when I turn my DS on, I go straight to Clubhouse. Mm-hmm. That's just the game that I tend to play the most.
It's a great pick up and play thing.
Even now.
Because there's so many games on there that last maybe 5 minutes or even you get something like the Darts 301. You could be playing that for 20 minutes to a half hour.
Yeah, cricket can take an hour to play that one.
Oh, that's insane. There was actually one point I was playing with my father, and I think I was up to 700 points or something. Insane. It was some insane amount. And he's down and stuck at 85 or something. And he sent me a message like, okay, you win. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I want to finish this.
I want to finish this now. I'm going to take you out, Pop.
Yeah, I see how it is.
Suffice to say, this is quite possibly, I ended up paying $34.95 for it because I bought it at GameStop, of course. And you can get it for $29.95 everywhere else. This is one of the few games where I paid the extra $5 and I said, you know what? This game is worth so much more than the extra $5 that I paid that it doesn't even bother me. Because I've gotten so many hours of play out of this. And this is the ultimate party game. Everything is single card play. Everything. Anything that's...
You know what's great about this game, is the fact that no matter what, Nintendo could come out with 50 other handhelds in the meantime. This game is still going to be living through the time.
Absolutely.
There's really nothing. It's timeless gaming, really. And the reason it's going to last is because it was pulled off very well for the most part, other than a few exceptions.
Yeah.
So even 10 years down the road, you could easily come back to this game and play it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was also a few solitaire games. I wanted to make sure I mentioned these, too. It also contains a version of Solitaire, Mahjong, and a puzzle game called Escape. What I do want to mention, though, is my wife is a huge Canfield fan. Canfield's a variation of Solitaire. And this is Klondike Solitaire. It's not Canfield. It's not Spider Solitaire. It's not one of the other 5 billion variations of Solitaire. It's Klondike Solitaire, and it's the only Solitaire that's in there. I know people that bought Clubhouse Games just for Solitaire. Because that's one of those games that everybody wants a Solitaire game on the go.
Is Klondike the one that's in Windows? Is that Klondike Solitaire?
I don't know. I think the one that's in Windows is like Free Cell or something. I don't know.
Well, there is a game called Free Cell.
Is there?
But I'm wondering if that's.
I think Klondike's the one that's in Windows.
I think that is Klondike, yeah. Because you can choose between 1 or 3 cards, and I wasn't sure if they were even named differently for the fact that you could do that.
For the people who are wondering, this is the Solitaire where you turn over 3 cards at a time. And you can only use the one that's showing. As soon as you use the one that's showing, then you can use the one underneath it,
anyway.
And then the one that's underneath it. I'll tell you what. I like to play Klondike, and dude, I don't win very often anymore. And I don't know if it's because I just suck, which is incredibly possible, or if for some reason this one's harder. I don't know how it can be harder than any other one, but
right, because it's just random cards.
It's random cards, but it's very smooth. It's very slick, and being able to play everything with the touch screen, this is a no-brainer for the DS. And in fact, if Nintendo came to me today and said, "Listen, Shane, you've been doing such a good job, and you've been whoring our products so well. We would like your advice. We would like you to pick a game to pack in with our next Nintendo DS Lite." Color. What pack-in game would you suggest? This is it. This is the game that should sell with the DS. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree perfectly.
So I'm going with a huge stylus up. There's like Chris said, there's a couple of minor flaws in it, but overall, this is possibly one of the best values for your cash right here.
Yeah, huge
Chris?
stylus up here, too. That's 3 for 3 so far.
So far. And we got
but
one
of the
more.
3, I have to say, this and Elite Beat are obviously on the upper tier here.
Yeah, Elite Beat's going to have that more great, it's going to have more exciting play, but it's going to be more finite. Clubhouse Games, like Chris said, you're going to be able to play this 10 years from now. I guarantee you're not going to be playing Elite Beat Agents 10 years from now.
No.
Because you're going to have it all unlocked, you're going to have everything perfected, and whereas Clubhouse Games, you want to throw down a game of spades.
It's limitless gameplay.
Limitless gameplay. It's outstanding. Last review up for this this show is going to be Pokemon Ranger, and I know what you're thinking. Oh God, Shane's going to review a Pokemon game.
This I gotta hear.
The buildings are going to burn. There will
Hopefully your retro gaming radio fan base doesn't listen to this show.
Yeah, because I'm going to be ostracized for actually commenting in a positive manner.
So everybody knows, this is not Shane R. Monroe. This is Shane P. R. Monroe.
Yeah, it's Shane P. R. Monroe. One of the things about one of the litmus tests that I give to games is if you stripped away all the graphics.
Wait a minute. Can I just say? Can I guess first?
Go ahead.
Is the game like Robotron?
No, you bastard. Yes, Robotron is the game in which I hold every other game up to. But that's not what I use as a litmus test to decide whether or not a game is really a great game or whether it's simply a sum of its parts. In terms of Pokemon, I never understood the obsession. And I'll be honest with you, I still don't. I don't get the Pokemon concept. I don't understand it. I probably never will understand it.
Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. I don't get that. But in any event, when I look at a game and I say, why is this game fun? Is it because I'm collecting Pokemons? Or is it because if I took away everything about the game, the visuals, the graphics, the music, this is why I don't get things like Luminis on the PlayStation, Luminize, however the hell you pronounce that, on the PlayStation Portable. If you take away all the smear particle effects and you take away the music, that game sucks. I've played a PC version of it that doesn't have all of these great visual effects.
Yeah.
And it sucks. The game, it's not a fun game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I played a PC version of it, and I've played actually a GBA homebrew of it.
Yeah, I remember that GBA homebrew. And you know what?
I don't
see what the big deal is. But you know what? People's like, oh, but you unlock music and skins. It's like, you know what? If the game sucks, why are you playing it? So that you can listen to music?
And
what the hell is your problem?
It's not even a PSP thing either. I don't want everybody to think.
No. It's not a PSP thing.
I'm looking at it from the game point of view, and puzzle games are very hit and miss in general, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to replicate the incredible phenomenon of Tetris.
Right.
So there's a lot of forced gameplay. You got to ask yourself, would even half these games even exist if it wasn't for Tetris?
Exactly.
Something like Lumines. I doubt it would even be out right now if it wasn't for Tetris. And it's almost like they're trying to take the basic gameplay of Tetris and conform it into some other whatever. I mean, gameplay that just doesn't seem to gel properly. And this just doesn't work for me. One of the few clones of Tetris, if you want to call it that have really worked for me, are stuff like Tetris Attack on the Super Nintendo, or which is more or less a clone of another game, but. Luminous, I agree. It just doesn't.
So back to my original concept, since we've managed to segue so well, we're now talking about Tetris.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Is if I strip away everything, and this actually relates to more recent games like Excite Truck, and I know that you have your own opinions on Excite Truck, but I was talking to an acquaintance. And he's like, and he actually mentioned the litmus test that I use. If you took away all the graphics, took away all the intellectual property, is it not Mario anymore? Is it not Pokemon anymore? Is it not Justice League Heroes anymore? If it's just a game where you run around with a box and you're in a boxy environment with stick figures and low res graphics, would the game still be fun? And Pokemon Ranger is one of those games where I started playing it, not thinking about gotta catch 'em all, not thinking about, oh, this is Pokemon, there's Pikachu. I started playing the game, and I started looking at the mechanics of it, and I looked at it in the end when I finally stopped playing it. Well, I'm still playing it. But I finally said to myself, does Pokemon Ranger pass my litmus test? If I took away the Pokemon brand name, if I took away the catch-em-all thing, if I took away the, registering the Pokemon into my little book where it's, showing you which ones you've captured, if I took away all that, would I still play, Stick Figure Ranger or whatever it would be called if
Right.
it didn't have that? Yeah. I like the mechanics of the game. I like how it works.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was just sitting here thinking about what you're saying, in terms of if this game was based around, say, stick figures, which you could say are vector graphics.
Right.
And the first thing that came to my mind was Star Castle.
Right.
You have a center enemy, and you're flying around outside of him, trying to break in. I mean, I dare say it's similar in that respect, because you're trying to encircle this Pokemon, with your stylus, and without trying to get hit by him.
Yeah, so let's talk about the gameplay itself. Pokemon Ranger is a lightly based RPG. I would call it more of a mission based RPG. There is leveling up. Sorry, the kid's getting cranky here, so you're going to get some extra commentary from Brian. Yeah, you hear that? That's good. Yeah, he's going to grunt hopefully at the appropriate times.
Pokemon.
Pokemon, yuck. Yeah. So basically, it's a mission-based light RPG. It's not really what Pokemon fans are probably going to be really excited about.
Oh, no way.
No, yeah, go figure, because it's not.
This is not true deep Pokemon like they're used
this
to.
isn't Pokemon Diamond or Pokemon Pearl or whatever the hell.
There's no
is.
turn-based battling going on.
There's no
here.
turn-based battling. What this is instead just like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue. It's using the IP in a different way, and I honestly don't have a huge problem with borrowing IP if you can maintain the spirit of the original. And from what I understand, the spirit of Pokemon is gotta catch 'em all, right? That's the
Correct. Yeah.
that's the spirit of it. And in that respect, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue doesn't really, to me, feel like a Pokemon game. But Pokemon Ranger does have that element of catching them all and registering them and wanting to go and get the ones that you don't have. In fact, the game makes you do that. So it keeps the kind of that spirit. So I could see some of the Pokemon people saying, oh, well, that's kind of cool. But what I really got into was the capturing process. I don't like, thank you, yes, that's right, the capturing process. He just had to, he had to chime in. The capturing process, as I understand it, Chris, by all means, jump in and correct me, because I haven't played a lot of the old Pokemon stuff.
Oh, like I have.
Yeah, as I understand it, you do like one-on-one, like RPG-style
I just want to
battles.
let you know, dude, I have never played Pokemon.
Dude, you know what? You don't have to give me that
what?
disclaimer. No one's going to say anything bad to you.
No. The closest I've played is the fantastic Pokemon Pinball. I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, and that's not so much even close to a...
I mean, you're catching them all, though, to a point. And then, ooh.
Yeah, he's excited, isn't he?
Wow.
Did you get your hand out from in front of your mouth? I could actually feed you.
I know
yeah,
you
this
like
is dual screen radio and baby theater. Yeah, go ahead.
I know you liked Pokemon Trozei.
Yeah, I liked Trozei, and that again, it had the feel of, every time you went someplace different to play another round, there was a couple of Pokemons you haven't gotten yet.
Yeah.
So there was that element was in there, and I happen to like the actual game mechanics of Pokemon Trozei. I know you're not a huge fan.
I wasn't a big fan.
But see, I enjoyed that. In Ranger, you actually go out on these little quests, and let's be honest, the quests are an excuse to capture Pokemon. That's
nothing deep.
It's nothing deep, folks. If you're looking for like Final Fantasy storylines here, this ain't your game. The game takes you are a budding ranger. In other words, rangers are out to help people. Think of rangers as a security guard in a housing development. Like, your grandma lives in one of those assisted living places and they have security guards.
That's a good analogy there.
Yeah. It's not like these security guards are actually securing anything because no one's breaking into an old people's home.
Right.
But they are there to help people. And that's exactly what a Pokemon Ranger is he's a security guard. And so your weapon of choice is something called the styler. And stylus, get it? So you use this styler to capture Pokemon. Your styler innately is nothing more than basically a stylus. But all of your things like the health in this game to decide whether or not you're doing okay or you're not doing okay is how much energy your styler has. As you draw around these Pokemon to capture them, and I'm going to get into more details here in a minute, As you circle the Pokemons, if they touch you or you fail, you start losing energy off your styler. You also have an assist mode where you actually have a buddy Pokemon that runs around with you as sort of like your second in charge.
Yeah, it's kind of like no matter what you do at the beginning of the game, it asks you if you want to be a boy or a girl. You're stuck with the same Pokemon.
Yeah,
no
you
matter
get
what.
you get this Pokemon.
Yeah, you don't get to choose. It's some kind of I forget the name of the Pokemon. Is it Plusle or Mino?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But they're it's more of an electrical charge it gives off. So
yeah,
I
so
guess
you
your
can
results
summon
will
them.
vary depending on how each Pokemon reacts to electricity.
Yeah, it's so you have like it's like a party, right? It's like an RPG in the fact that you can end up with a party full of Pokemon, and those are like the NPCs that join your party in a regular game. So as you capture these Pokemon, you can have them join your party. I believe you can have 4 or 5 of them total in your party. And each Pokemon, of course, have different powers and different strengths, and they can provide assistance. A lot of your puzzle solving is going to be done through catching a designated Pokemon, and using him to break open a boulder, and then he goes away. Or you're using him to get across a chasm, and then he's going to go away.
Or burn the hay. And
he's going to burn some hay that's blocking your way, like you couldn't just crawl over it, whatever. But so most of these Pokemon are like one-time use Pokemon. So some of them can join your party, and you can tap them during battle and bring them in to effect a change. Now, some Pokemon, like your buddy there that's with you, the Plesiosaur or whatever it is, the thing that they think that the Loch Ness Monster is. No, he's his power is like an electrical charge. So you can bring him out, and then he'll zap the dude, and if the guy happens to not be like resistant to lightning or something, then he'll like get frozen in this little electrical bubble, and you can enclose him. Capturing is done by encircling the Pokemon with your styler without actually touching him or any of the crap that he might fling out. So if this Pokemon breathes fire, and you're encircling him, and his fire hits your ring, then your ring goes away, and you take, quote, damage to your styler. Now, every monster has a different rating on him, which is how many times you have to encircle that little bastard to get him captured. Some of the easier ones, you have to circle them like 2 or 3 times. It's absolutely nothing. Some guys you have to circle like 9 times. And the little bastards are constantly moving and shooting out something like every few seconds.
Depending on whatever their ability is as a Pokemon, it's going to be reflected in it.
So you have to, you're required to tap different Pokemon to help you out. For example, one of the Pokemon's powers is upgrading your styler temporarily so that every ring that you draw around the Pokemon counts for twice the amount of lines. So every time you circle it once, you get 2 points as your attack. So there's a ton of different variety in terms of how to play this. Now, you're playing this sort of like I said, in a mission mode. In other words, basically you're given tasks to do. You're starting off as a junior ranger, right? So you have like no power, no authority. You can only use certain types of Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. And as you progress through the game, and trust me, they'll hold your hand. It's not like you have to guess what to do. They will lead you along the way. So you don't have to worry about that. It's kind of on rails. It's kind of a rail, like most RPGs are. So that's not a big deal.
Well, I think ultimately, it's Pokemon. So, who's the big audience for Pokemon? Younger kids. So there's not a lot of depth. There's not a lot of difficulty involved.
And there doesn't need to be.
A seasoned gamer is going to figure this game out.
Yeah, this is not a problem. As you progress, your styler upgrades, right? So like your hit points, right? You can now have more styler points. So as you go up in ranger levels, your styler will get more powerful. You'll have more power that you can lose while you're attacking bigger Pokemon. And you also have a little conduit of power that you use for your helper Pokemons too. And that value will go up.
It's like a mana thing.
It's like dude, it's mana and health, dude. It's like it's like a standard action RPG.
Norath,
exactly. So now what makes this game really fun to me, and I'm telling you, I'm a Quantum fan from the old arcade. I don't know how many people listening to this show actually remember what Quantum is. But in order to capture things, you circled around them with a trackball. Now, circling around something with a joystick, that doesn't work. But a trackball, a mouse, and yes, even a touch screen is a gameplay element that's really damn cool. And I'm so glad that somebody finally brought it back to a video game. So for me, the fun isn't in the mission itself. It's not in, becoming a level 6 ranger. It's about using this circular capturing system along with the Pokemon modifiers to try to catch one of these really hard to get bad guys.
It's like touch battling.
And again, you take Pokemon out of the equation. This is what I'm saying. I want to make sure that people understand this, because a lot of people say, oh, Pokemon, they automatically say, there's no way in hell I'm going to play that. This is not, quote, a Pokemon, quote, game. You could take Pokemon out of it. You could make all of these guys stick figures. You could make them all like 3-color graphics. This game would still be fun. Now, what would I rate this game? I mean, it looks kind of like a GBA game. I think Chris mentioned that too at one point. It kind of looks like a GBA game. Could you have pulled this off on the GBA if you took away the touchscreen controls?
I don't know. I mean, you probably could. I mean, I think you could. I mean, there's a lot of games on the GBA that look very nice actually, and I can see this.
So this could have probably been done there. Is the sound and music something that's so remarkable that it could only be done on the DS?
No.
But again, like anything else, sometimes it's not what you play, but how you play it. And things like Pokemon Ranger, you're not going to be able to play this. Hey, you just simmer down now. Yeah, see, he doesn't want to play it on the GBA either. Some of these games, like
Get the brats. I
want to play the brats. Yeah, he doesn't like brats either, he told me. A lot of times it's how you play a game that makes a game fun, not what the game is. And for me, this wouldn't be the same game if I couldn't use the capture system this way.
Oh, definitely not.
It's
the whole gameplay.
It's the whole gameplay. It's really the whole crux of it. And these guys even went so far, and this is really cool. I wanted to bring this up because I just remembered it and I didn't want to forget about it. You can actually play the game using the D-pad to run around and to do your basic stuff, or you can use the touchscreen to actually run around and control your movements. And what's funny is the game actually lets you know, like, after you've played it for like 5 minutes, because let's say that you just automatically assume to use the D-pad. It works. You can actually run around with the D-pad. But you'll get to a certain point where some guy will pop out and say, hey, I couldn't help but notice you were using the D-pad to move around. Did you know you could use the touchscreen? And I'm like, oh, really? Sweet. So I tried the touchscreen. And it turned out that this touchscreen is actually, hey.
Yeah, I found the touchscreen to be a lot more easier.
Yeah, I think he likes the touchscreen too. Yes, you like the touchscreen, don't you? Yeah, we're in the growl mode now. Doesn't he sound like a little grizzly bear?
Stop shoving his face in your armpit, dude.
Yeah. You know what I think it is? So it's not so much a remarkable game in terms of graphics, in terms of anything, other than the fact that the game mechanics are a lot of fun, and I like that. I respect that. So in as usual, we're going to look at this game in context. There's so many great games out there that would you go out and run out and spend $34.95 for this game? Nah. Not when you got things like Elite Beat Agents and Clubhouse. And is it a fun game? Oh, absolutely. This thing sucked hours out of my life. But would I rather be playing this, or would I rather be playing, say, Elite Beat Agents? Well, duh,
Yeah.
It's Elite Beat Agents. That doesn't make this a bad game.
No, it isn't a bad game at all, I don't think.
It's actually a lot of fun.
When I heard you liked it.
I know. Me too.
I'm not one to sucker into a Pokemon game.
I got this is twice now. Frickin' Troze, and now this got me.
I think
and Mystery Dungeon, I like that too. So
yeah, Mystery Dungeon's not bad, but you know what? It just got a little. It got a little redundant after a while.
Yeah, Children of Mana came along and snuffed out Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, so I'm gonna.
If you
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that in light of all of the other games that are out there, I'm going to give this a level stylus. Absolutely a great game. It's a lot of fun. In fact, it's one of those games that as soon as it hits the bargain bin, it's going to be a while because Pokemon's on it. But this is one of those games where, again, even though you're not a Pokemon fan, even though you may not be, an RPG fan, this game sort of has, it's some of its parts, but it's actually a fun game that doesn't require that you like Pokemon or that you care about Pokemon. And I think that this is one of those games that when I need the rainy day game, in other words, there's no hot titles out right now.
Exactly.
I will be back to finish Pokemon Ranger because it's a lot of fun. So in that respect, I'm going to give it a level stylus, not because it doesn't deserve a high stylus. It's just there's so many other stylus up games that really require your immediate attention. Pokemon Ranger is going to be around for a while. There's not going to be any limit to how many copies you're going to be able to get.
Yeah, but
it's
overall, the thing is, though, overall, what if this game was like one of the first DS games? Say the DS just came out and this just came out.
Oh yeah, see, I would have to give it a stylus up.
Yeah, okay.
But in this case, there's so many great games in comparison to other games, which is how we often rate our games. If, for example, if you were to say if this was the only game available for the DS, would you give what stylus rating would you give it?
Level.
Well, it's different because if that was the only game, it'd be the best game.
Yeah.
Right. So it's hard. You have to kind of compare it in context to what else is available, how you want to spend your cash, because that's what people trust us for. They want us to tell you how to help you spend your money to make sure you get the best game for your needs. This is a game that's so kind of generic in terms. It's not like I would target, not like Clubhouse Games or Elite Beat Agents, or even Mario versus Donkey Kong, which has a very Lemmings feel to it. If you love Lemmings and you're dying to have Lemmings on your DS, then you got to have Mario versus Donkey Kong. This isn't one of those games.
Some of these games have a real niche, whatever.
Niche market.
Yeah. Everybody says it differently, but
whatever.
It's got a different whole little audience to it. For me, I felt the game. I was actually shocked at how well it came out. I dare say this would actually be a good game to introduce people to the world of Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree.
Mystery Dungeon, no, not as much. But this game, this has got a lot of action, a lot of good use of the touch screen. I saw in one of the reviews for it that a lot of people may feel, as Pokemon fans, that this game's kind of letting them down, and that the whole basis of Pokemon is to capture and train and hoard, these little Pokemon monsters, pocket monsters.
Pocket monsters.
And in a game like this, they're almost considered disposable. Because, like as you said, you walk into a level and you get the Pokemon running around that are available, that are going to be the ones that are going to help you, in your goal. Right. And once you're done using them to say, something like Squirtle to help you put out the tree that's on fire, you let him loose because you're not a catcher. You're a ranger.
You're a ranger.
You're not a capturer of Pokemon. So, you're not even using a Pokeball. There isn't even a Pokeball found in this game, as far as so far anyway. Your character's more or less, help me, my dog's being shocked by Pikachu. Come over and help me control this Pikachu from, and you rush over and it's goofy stuff like that. But it's not a hardcore. Right, it's not a hard. That was a great analogy, and I thought that was a great way to put it. I would give this game a level stylus, not because of its Pokemon. I'm basing it on the gameplay itself. I'm not going to say it. I mean, it's a very polished game. It's very well made, but it's not something I could have seen it. I could have seen them,
maybe.
It's not a AAA title.
Yeah, it's not a AAA title to be sure, but it's definitely one of those ones that if you're in the need for something a little different, you're looking for a light RPG. You're looking for something like what we've described, then it's definitely a winning move. It's just when held up to such great games as Elite Beat Agents, Clubhouse Games. Yeah, it's just
This is more second tier gaming.
Second tier gaming.
Much like I think Mario vs. Donkey Kong even. I mean, even that doesn't compare. Although I would give that a higher rating, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, there you have it, folks. 4 brand new reviews for you. We felt that we needed to catch up on some of our reviews, especially like with the things we really wanted to talk about, like Elite Beat.
Yeah, there's still some games missing from the queue. Maybe we'll be able to talk about them next time. I know right off the bat we've already got 2 reviews planned for the next show that we're anxious to discuss.
Yeah. So.
And by then the games will be, pretty much out there and about. And everybody's been able to get a chance to try them out
or have access to them if we decide we like them.
Exactly, and we'll have more time to spend with them since they're new games. So.
Well, for our Twitch review, we'd like to talk about the new Metal Battle stylus for the DS Lite. Now, we've talked about this on previous shows, and PDA Panache or Panache, however you
Panache
actually
is-
Panache. How you,
That's www.pdapanache.com.
Yes, they were
That's
very
our
nice,
plug.
and we will give you a link, of course. They were generous enough. We have been talking up the original battle stylus for the Nintendo DS. We both had them. We both paid for them,
Yeah.
and they're $15 a hit. Both the original battle stylus and these new DS Lite ones, which don't exactly make it what I would call an impulse buy.
No, definitely not. It's more of a fringe item.
It's a fringe item.
It's an item that, obviously it indicates that you are a higher-priced gamer.
Yeah, you are dedicated to your DS if you're willing to buy yourself a battle stylus.
Yeah.
But, what's really funny, though, and this is kind of a Storytime Theater thing, but not everybody that lays their hands on my battle stylus, everybody who puts their hands on my battle stylus wants one.
Is that
They
until
go,
the week
wow.
comes out?
That's till the week, yeah. Till the week comes out. Yeah, we're not going to go there. There's so many ways for me to just totally pervert what we're talking about. But everybody who's used it, the battle stylus is a full metal, slightly heavier stylus that feels so good in your hand.
It's very weighty.
It's very weighty, and it's so much better. It causes less hand fatigue. I mean, there's a billion reasons why I'd recommend a battle stylus to everybody who's serious about playing their DS. And like I said, everybody who's touched one of them, everybody who's played with one for any length of time says, wow, this is really different. This is a lot better.
It's got little grooves on it so that your fingers don't slip.
Yeah, I mean, it's little things. I mean, these guys really know their styli, and they prove it by putting these things out. It fits perfectly inside your DS or your DS Lite. It's I don't know. I don't know how else to talk up a stylus, but
Yeah.
it's fantastic. So we talked to them, and they were asking us if we wanted to, they gave us each a stylus, for reviewing it on the show and to test it out and to see how we liked it. But then I don't remember who suggested, whether it was us or them, that we came up with an idea that we should have a contest and give some of these stylus away. And so they generously gave us some stylus to give away, and we ran a contest called Better with the Battle Stylus Contest. And we had 6 winners. And do you want to read the winners, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll read the winners,
Yeah.
especially, I'll even read the answers if anybody would. I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but I was shocked at how many people, when we had this contest, the contest comprised of some screenshots, 15 screenshots from 15 different DS games. And they weren't little-known games for the most part. I mean, they were pretty mainstream games. But we wanted to bring out the fact that the DS is about touching and the using of the touchscreen. So the screenshots we used were mostly from games that involved heavy uses of the touchscreen itself. So, we got these screenshots up, and I was really amazed at I thought they would be easy as crap, and sure enough, even my wife got some of them, so I figured, I got to make this a little more difficult. But for the most part, people did pretty good. I mean, pretty well. A couple threw some off, but anyway, the people that have gotten them correct are the following people, and I'm sure they'll love hearing their name in the show. Alex J. Lopez, and this is in no order whatsoever, by the way, so please don't feel like you're... Alex J. Lopez, Rachel, is that Eichen? How do you say it?
I would assume Eichen, yeah.
Yeah. Justin Merriman, Miss A. Sim, which is one of our UK listeners, asked us if we could send it to his, I believe he said it was his fiancée at the time, as she would get a kick out of that. Nicholas Murphy and Matthew Longley. Congratulations, you are all winners in the PDA Panache sponsored DSR contest.
Better with the Battle Stylus contest.
Yes. So,
fantastic. Now, how can you get one if you didn't win? We'll give you a link, pdapanache.com. And they've got all sorts
of quality
of
product.
Oh, it's definitely quality. I mean, a lot of people are going to freak out paying $15 for a stylus.
Yeah. The only negative I have is I've noticed on certain games that the weight does come into play, especially something like Elite Beat Agents where you have to move very quickly.
Yeah.
You're doing constant tapping. The weight can really become an issue because you feel like you're going to throw the thing through your screen, but it also slows you down a little bit, I thought.
Yeah.
But it's still overall, for certain games especially, it really pays off where you want to have a steady hand, and that weight really does help with the steady hand. I mean,
the bowling, the darts, and Clubhouse Games,
there's a little more
like
physical oomph in your hand, to put it.
Oomph in your hand.
Yes.
I love it. Absolutely priceless. Well, that's all we're going to kind of do for the Twitch review. We did want to thank PDA Panache for providing us with those to give out. Courtesy
and thanks
of...
to all the people that signed up and contributed to the contest.
Yeah, we had quite a few people signed up, didn't we?
Yeah.
Do you remember the count?
It was almost, I would say it's almost 50 or so.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
40 something. Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
considering we actually had to make you work for it. You didn't actually just get to send in your email and get put on a list. You actually had to.
But this is one of the reasons why everybody who is podcasting the show through, say, iTunes or whatnot, whatever other application or whatever, RSS, you really need to check out the website because we have things like this. We're hopefully going to do more of it. Mostly the people on the forums were the ones that I recognize pretty much most of the people that sent in the contest.
Yeah. There's
a couple of them that I didn't know, that I didn't recognize, but it was all randomly drawn, and I think more people need to check out the website in general just to keep up on things.
Yeah, spend some time there. I mean, things have been kind of slow for this last month, but we're getting back into gear. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show too, so you want to stick around for that. All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment of the show, Storytime Theater, where Chris and I relate our special experiences with regards to the Nintendo DS. And, of course, our Storytime Theater music is playing in the background. I just can't get enough of Storytime Theater's music, to be honest with you. The more the merrier.
They should have put that on EBA, EBA.
That would have been great, a Storytime Theater level. That would have been awesome. Anyway, well, we've got several stories. I mean, that's what happens. You go away for a month and a half and you get stories. What can I tell you? I've got several stories to tell you. And strangely enough, at least two of them revolve around GameStop. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is they have these things called Power Play Saturdays at GameStop. If you're on GameStop's mailing list, you probably get this stuff and send it right to the trash. I don't blame you. But I couldn't help but notice that they were going to run a new Super Mario Brothers contest at GameStop. They were giving away some decent stuff, T-shirts and some sort of cool. I don't even know what it was. The grand prize was something cool. Both my kid and I wanted it, so we both decided to go down there and play this thing.
Wasn't it like a T-shirt or something?
Well, we got T-shirts, but they had like some cool metal thing. I'm not even sure exactly what it was. It was something
really cool.
It was cool, though, when it was embraced with the Nintendo logo, and you know how they have some of that standard, giveaway stuff that's always fun.
Some leftover stuff from the PR rep.
Yeah, from the junket tours.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, so we both wanted it. It looked really cool. And so we went down there, and I'm going to tell you, folks, I don't know about your GameStop, but they were definitely not set up for this particular scenario.
I am
In
so
fact,
shocked.
they didn't even know what they were playing. Yeah, in fact, I don't even think they had the event set up or anything. I mean, they had prizes, but I don't think they even knew where the prizes were. They, Nintendo shipped them a box or something, and they just had it sitting back in the back. And
do with what you will.
Yeah, it was actually quite entertaining, and there were myself and my kid showed up, and two other kids showed up. That was
wow, big turnout.
There was 4 people.
My God, the competition must have been immense.
It was, actually. This kid, I think the only game he had for his DS was the new Super Mario Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and his friend had spent their entire lives figuring out how to whip each other's ass in multiplayer mode.
Uh-huh.
The Mario versus Luigi.
Right, exactly.
And, I'll be honest, I didn't have a chance, dude, because I haven't played that much multiplayer Mario. So he pretty much eliminated us quickly.
And I guess your kid wasn't much of a backup either.
My kid was talking smack too, and it's like, it's okay to talk smack if you can back it up. She couldn't back it up. She was out pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, needless to say, the entire experience led me to the point where no matter how much I love the people at my GameStop, I ain't participating in any Power Play Saturdays anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, suffice to say. But what was really cool is a lot of people that came in were interested in what we were doing. And that kind of generated some interest in the DS. So, there was some sort of a winning move there. It ended up being to get my ass kicked 3 times in a row after waiting for someone to show up and waiting for the prizes to get open and all that crap. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing that you could say is You get the chance to just kind of hang out in GameStop if that's what you want to, without having them say, "Hey, you want to get out of here?"
Yeah, you can loiter and get away with it.
Actually, yeah, right. It's the one day you could lawfully loiter and not get in a heat.
And it was cool, even though we lost, I don't think there was any prizes for us in particular. They had extra T-shirts and crap, so we ended up getting T-shirts and all that extra crap. So I got some stickers and, good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So the other little goodie about GameStop is I was in there probably loitering, actually, as I tend to do, but I know like everybody down there and we're all cool. So I was hanging out down there and this guy comes in and, dude, if you hang out at GameStop enough, you know exactly who this guy is. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that doesn't like video games, doesn't really approve of his kids playing video games, but knows that his ass is on the line. Not only his wife, but his kids will shun him. Right. If he doesn't get the kid a video game for Christmas or for his birthday.
I think we have somebody like that on the forum.
Yeah. Nice.
No, we do.
But this guy, so this guy comes in and he's like totally clueless. He's walking around like me in a hunting store, actually. I had that experience this last weekend. We went to a sportsman's place. Uh-huh. My friend wanted to buy ammunition. He wanted to go shooting, whatever. And now I understand that feeling when you walk into a place and you're completely out of your element. Well, that was this guy. So he walked in and he's like, my kid really wants a PSP, and I told him I'd get him one, and, what kind of game should I get for him? The standard guy that wants you to basically handhold him. All he wants to do is write a check. He doesn't want to,
Right, just shut up and where is it, and I'll give you the
Shut up
money.
and let me have it so I can go keep my wife and kid happy. That's exactly what it boils down to. So then he saw the price tag of the unit and the games, and you could tell the guy was like, I love my kid, but I don't love him this much. And so I said, I kind of saw the dilemma, and I was kind of following the conversation. And, I'm over here throwing down, I think, on the Demo Station 3 that just came out. That's why I think I was down there. I was playing, Elite Beat Agents.
I could just see you over there on the DS kiosk,
Yeah, well, I wasn't on the kiosk. I had my own.
Oh, well, sorry. By the demo thing, the download station.
And I had, my black DS Lite, so it looked all cool.
I could see you, though, with your trouble alert. It goes off.
I had my
your spider sense. What?
What? Somebody needs to not buy a PSP?
A guest at the PSP price?
Let me show you
myself.
this.
I'm Shane R. Monroe, and
yeah, let me show you something.
I got some crack for you.
I'm going to save you a whole lot of money. And so he's like, so I said, here's what I'm playing. And so I took him through the whole bit. I showed him all the stuff on the DS Lite. I told him about the Wi-Fi. I told him about the pricing differences, the support, and then we walked over to the games, and I said, what kind of games is he into? So the kid's kind of into the, whatever other kid's into, every other young adolescent boy that wishes he was a man already. So he liked first-person shooters and things
Grand
like that.
Theft Auto.
Yeah. So I kind of showed him, some of the titles. I showed him, I got him, he ended up getting Madden, I think, and, what else did he get? Maybe GoldenEye or something like that.
Oh.
I tried to sell him off on Metroid Prime Hunters. I said, listen, this is what your kid's going to want. And I think the price difference between the used copy of GoldenEye and the new copy of Metroid Prime Hunters, kind of swayed him the other way. But you know what? I did my job, and I told him, I said, listen, I said, the kid's going to probably look all sad at first. He's probably going to be all disappointed you didn't get him a PSP because that's the current, you have no penis if you don't have a PSP, scenario. I don't think I used exactly that expression, but, you're not cool if you don't have a PSP. I said, but listen, sit him down and let him play with it for a little while. Trust me, he'll warm up to it. And so the guy looked like totally relieved that he didn't have to put out, $500, and so he ended up leaving. He was all happy. The only thing I wish I could have done with this story was do a follow-up. I would have liked to have gotten the guy's number and say, listen, I should have given him my number and said, listen, you need help picking games or something, give me a call.
Yeah, right. Here. Oh, Mr. Monroe, I just wanted to follow up the story. I've actually ended up just shooting my son.
Yeah, it was actually easier. He couldn't stop
Yeah, it was
bitching.
a lot easier, yeah.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have known, whether the kid actually, warmed up to it or if he cursed his dad's name and ran away from home.
So you gave him GoldenEye and what other game?
I think Madden 05 or 06.
Not even, oh.
Dude, I recommended a whole slew of different games to him, and he didn't go with my recommendation.
Could
so
be the
it's
DS just wasn't for this young lad,
Yeah, but Dad didn't want to put out $250, so who could blame him?
Yeah.
But I always find that interesting to help people out. I mean, I had a set of grandparents come in and they wanted their granddaughter was a big Nintendogs fan. And so they were going to buy her another copy of Nintendogs.
Jesus.
And I'm like, wait a minute, let me help you out. I couldn't help but notice you're looking at Nintendogs. And I swear they love to keep me around just because I sell stuff for them. But she was talking about how the granddaughter had one version of it, but she wanted this other version because it had different dogs or something like that, whatever. And I said, well, actually, they actually all have the same dogs. It's just a matter of how you unlock them, or which ones you get first. And I said, let me recommend to you a different game. And I said, trust me. How old is she? She's like 14 or 13, whatever. I said, listen, my 13-year-old absolutely loves Animal Crossing.
Oh,
Your
nice.
daughter loves Nintendo. Your granddaughter loves Nintendogs. She will absolutely lose her freaking mind over Animal Crossing. So I got them to buy Animal Crossing. And they were very excited and happy that, somebody could actually intelligently recommend them the right thing.
Do you know?
So, I mean, it's
speaking
cool.
of Animal Crossing, did you
Yeah.
realize that game is almost out for a year now? Isn't that insane?
Get the hell out of here. Are you serious?
Because that came out, December 6th? So
It
we're
did,
only
you're
a couple
right.
weeks away from it being out here. I was just thinking about that last night, actually, because I was even saying to my wife, I said, hey, we should put on Animal Crossing and check out fall. Because I don't think we've seen fall on it. Because I think when it came out, we were in winter.
Winter already, yeah.
So I may have to get back to that, now that you mention it.
Yeah, I got back and cleaned my town up. It was just, man, was it bad, dude. It was overrun. There were weeds everywhere. Everybody was pissed.
I'm going to have to call the Orkin man.
I had to call the Orkin man. I had to get 2 or 3 of those guys to come out. It was bad.
Yeah, you're
But
funny.
anyway.
You almost sound like, those guys in the news that try to go after scammers and fraudulent companies and knock on their doors. Oh, hello, grandparents. I just wanted to let you know that this Nintendogs is the same as this.
Yeah, let me help you out. They called 12 News for Action, and I went down to GameStop and got them from buying another copy of Nintendogs. Too funny.
Nice
Anyway, I got one more.
recommendation, anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I thought to myself, what would this girl like if she's already got Nintendogs?
Because I was going to say, if you were going to say something like GoldenEye, I would have to smack you.
Yeah, you know what your granddaughter would love?
Your daughter would love shooting Oddjob in the head.
Yeah. Right. No. I was a good boy. I properly recommended the right product. So it worked out. Anyway, my last story is...
I guess that granddaughter was going to have a better Christmas than that little boy.
Yeah. Oh, man, the stories we could tell. My last story has to do with the Nintendo Fusion Tour. And this is one of those things that I wish I had known more about ahead of time so I could have kind of planned things out better. We did have some guy on the forum actually talk about it. Like, I'd already bought the ticket, so I was going one way or the other. Even if this guy had come on the forum and said, dude, this totally sucked.
How much did they cost? I didn't even realize
you had to pay. $25 a head, I think.
Oh, I didn't even realize you had to pay to get in. I thought it was just one of those things where you could show up.
No, I wish, dude.
I mean, considering it's basically a big advertising.
Well, yeah, but they have bands there that the kids will enjoy.
Please.
Yeah, Reliant K, dude. That's so funny that you knew what that was. I was saying to I told my kid when we went in. I said, now who are these groups again? Thinking maybe I'd heard of one of them, and she's like, well, it's Hawthorne Heights. I'm going, okay, scratch that. I can't remember what one of the other ones was. Then she was Reliant K, and I said, Reliant K? You mean like the K car?
Yeah,
that crappy K car from like the 80s, 70s?
That's a French car. Isn't it from France or something?
Was it?
Yeah,
I don't remember. But I remember there was like a Reliant K car.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a Renault.
Renault. There you go. Yeah.
Sorry.
So in any event, so she's like,
that was funny. That was cracking me up.
Know.
They named their band after a crappy old car.
A really crappy old car. I thought that was really funny, and nobody gets that. It's like watching an episode of Family Guy. If you're not like 30, you miss half the jokes. But anyway, so I had no idea really what to expect. I mean, every venue's kind of different too, So it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of stoked about this. So I looked it up on not MapQuest, but Google Maps. I looked it up and found out exactly where it was. And so, Arizona, dude. Phoenix is so well laid out. All you really need to know is like the major cross streets to something, and you know where it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that is. So I looked it up on the map. I didn't print the map. I just, I was good to go. I knew exactly where it was. So me and Chrisania, my younger daughter, went out to go to this thing. She wanted to go for the bands. I wanted to go for the Wii and the DS. She likes this modern music. Go figure. So anyway, so we get in the car. And dude, this is a trek. I mean, I don't know if you kind of know the layout of Phoenix, but I'm in like northwest. I'm in like in northwest Glendale, and this thing was like, central east Scottsdale.
What I do know is you've got one way is numbers, the other way is like words, right?
Yeah,
like
this was a long way off. This was
57 and Thunderbird or whatever.
Yeah, this was like a 40-minute trip on the highway. So this wasn't close by. So the first thing I find out, we head out, and so it was, the show started, the doors opened at 7, the show started at 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
So we headed out about 6:30, maybe 6:15, something like that. We wanted to make sure that we managed to get there when the doors opened, so maybe we could get in line quicker. And so we went ahead, we got in the car, we started driving. And so we're driving along 101, and we're going to get off on Indian School Road. That's the road I was pretty sure, that was the one I saw on the map. Well, as we're driving, we pass something that looks like Indian School Road, but it's not. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like Indiana blah, 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 or something like that. I'm going, oh, crap, I wonder if that's what I saw on the map. Because I saw Indian School Road. It's like one of the hugest roads here. I mean, why would this place be on some no-name? This is like the venue of Scottsdale. This is like a big place. And so anyway, so I said, I'm going to go with my gut. I said Indian School Road and 3rd Avenue, or 3rd Street, so I'm going to go with that. So we get off the exit, and sure enough, I can't find this place. It's the venue of Scottsdale, for crying out loud. There should be a sign somewhere, right? So we drove down. I'm going, okay, we should have seen it by now. We've crossed, we've gone way off the highway. Anyway, so I said, okay, well, let me call home, and I'll have her look up the address and let me know. Forgot my cell phone. Nice. So not only am I lost in a side of town I'm not familiar with, running late for something I've already paid for, and I don't have a cell phone. I can't even call the venue of Scottsdale, for which, that would have made too much sense, and said, hey, where the hell are you? So now we're starting to run close to 7. I'm starting to get pissy because I wanted to get there in time to get in line. And so I said, okay, well, let's backtrack to that Indiana whatever, because maybe that's what I saw. So we backtracked to there. It's not there. So finally I end up stopping at a frickin' McDonald's and, ask this Indian dude, oh, yes, you go back down to Indian School Road. It's on the 3rd. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. Does anyone speak English here that I could talk to? And
where are you trying to go?
Where are you trying to
go? Arizona. Where is that? I don't know what Arizona is.
You're in Arizona, dude. So the guy in line says, oh, venue of Scottsdale. Well, yeah, it's on Indian School and 3rd Avenue, but you have to take, you have to go 2 blocks north from Indian School and 3rd. And it's like, oh, what the hell? So we get back in the car. We scream down the highway. We get back to Indian School. We go turn in. Next thing I see are people everywhere. I'm going,
Bingo.
Bingo, this must be it. And so we're driving around looking for parking.
This isn't GameStop.
Dude, this is not GameStop. There is a line. I mean, there is a line. I thought people were lining up to see another Star Wars movie. Remember what Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back were like when you stood in line?
Mm-hmm.
That was like this line. And I'm going, are you kidding me? This is all for the Nintendo Fusion Tour? So we drove around the block trying to find parking, and the line went all the way around the block and into the alley.
Dude, they're there for Reliant K.
They're there for Reliant K in Hawthorne Heights.
Oh, yeah. Where your daughter was.
My daughter was, anyway. So we get in line. So we finally find a place to park. I used the valet. I said, you know what? Screw this crap. Use the frickin' valet. This is going to be easier.
Jeeves, park the Monroe vehicle, please.
Yeah, park my Toyota Corolla. I'll be going to the Nintendo Fusion Tour.
Or something of such things.
Yes, or such.
Of that nature.
Of that nature and stature. No, so anyway, so we parked, and so we got in a line. The funny thing is that at the front of the venue of Scottsdale, there were 2 lines coming out of this place. I got in this one line, And it turns out that and I got in the shorter line, which is my first mistake. Turned out the shorter line was for people who didn't already have tickets.
Oh.
Now, the good news is I did not spend more than like 3 minutes in that line before somebody set me hip, so that was cool. So it's like, oh, I guess it's the other line I want to get into.
I thought you were going to say it was the line leading to Brat's Wii edition.
Oh, yeah, Brat's for the Wii, the THQ selection.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I got in the other line, which I had to walk all the way around the block. And, of course, what I thought was cool, and this is the geek in me talking, like every 20 feet was some kid playing a DS.
Nice.
Right? So I get in the back of the line, and I'm looking around. I pop open the DS. I start searching for, Wi-Fi, seeing if anybody's serving. I wanted to see, first of all, if there was an open WAP somewhere nearby.
And of course,
so I could hop online. And
I had recommended Shane name his DS.
Yeah, oh, yeah, wait, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So I was looking for an open access point so I could hop online and chat with you guys, talk to you guys in the chat room or on the forums or whatever, and let you guys know that I was standing in line and how cool is this, right? So I found an access point, but it was locked. I couldn't get into that.
Bummer.
And I noticed that there were like these 4 dudes playing Mario Kart, like 30 feet ahead of me in line. So I told my kid to hold the spot. I ran up there. I said, "Hey, dudes, let me hop in, man." So they all dumped off, and I got in, and for like the next, 20, 25 minutes, we threw down like 6 people Mario Kart.
Nice.
While we waited in line. Dude, it was awesome. We had a great time. I even showed up pretty well. I mean, I showed pretty good. I was like 4th or 5th overall.
Any snaking involved?
No, nobody snaked. I couldn't believe
Sweet.
it. It's like nobody cheating or anything. It was great. So we get towards the front of the line, and again, I have no idea what to expect. So we start getting close to the front of the lines. All the other kids shut off their DSs, so we were kind of stranded there, and we were shooting the breeze. And I started taking pictures, but of course nothing turned out because it was dark. So, they mark you if you're 21 or over or not, so you can booze it up if you want to while you're listening to Hawthorne Heights and Reliant K.
Yeah!
Yeah! Yeah, actually the music didn't suck that bad. I expected the music to, really suck, but it turned out that it was it was generic, but, it was okay. It wasn't offensive. It wasn't like we were listening to rap music. It's not like that Eminem there or something. So anyway, we go in, and I'm looking around trying to find the damn Wiis, man. It's like, where's the line for the Wiis? Everyone was lining up in front of the stage, and it's like, okay, well, enough of this stage crap. I said, Christina, you're staying with me. You get to see as much of the band as I get to see when I'm standing in line. And come on, she's 13. I'm not just going to let her run loose in there. So finally, we find out where all the Wiis are, and they're all in the corner of this venue where you can't see them unless you know where to look. So we get in line. And so the bands, there's a couple of opening groups, nobody knew the people who were playing, let alone the opening groups. Who cares? So I get in this line, and dude, the line is long. So I'm thinking, I've thought to myself originally, okay, everybody's here to see Reliant K. But no, these people were actually here, at least a good number of them, to see the Wii and check this stuff out. So I get in line, and the first thing I try to do is, find a game in progress. So I hit the DS download, and they actually did have the Demo Station 3 running in there.
Nice.
Of course, I'd already played all that, so that wasn't any fun.
Of course.
So I went ahead and I went into Clubhouse Games, and I opened up a room, and within 30 seconds, somebody hopped in and we were playing.
Awesome.
I'm going, whoa, that's really cool, And it turned out, this is what's really, really funny. It turned out we played Magnetica and all this other crap. Basically, when we were done, I'd shut it off and boot up another game and go to single-player mode, and then that guy would hop on and we'd be playing. It turned out the dude was 2 people in front of me the whole time. I mean, we played for 30 minutes, and the dude was 2 feet in front of me.
That's really cool.
Wild.
It's like DS Nirvana or something.
It is. It's way cool, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so what was at this place? Well, that was amazing. The group of people that was there. It was a very diversified group, which is what you'd expect with the Wii, right? You wouldn't expect it to be a bunch of kids. You wouldn't expect it to be a bunch of old people. It was a diverse group of people. There were couples. There were, the young boys, young girls, older boys,
Cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. So anyway, so I'm standing in line, and I'm trying to get a good look at the Wii, right? And it's way up in front of the line, and I didn't want to, lose my spot in line or be a dick or anything and try to cut in front of anybody so I could see what was going on. So we waited in line. We moved a few feet. We waited in line, moved a few feet. And once you got past the bar, there were all these DSs set up along the path. So you could kind of drop out of line and play some of the new games. They had Mario Hoops. They had a Final Fantasy 3, but I didn't get to play that one. Somebody was hogging it. And they had Yoshi Island DS, which was kind of cool. This was before, we'd had a chance to see it or anything. And so we had to play some cool stuff along the way. I hooked up with this couple behind us. And he was like, that was one of the guys that I let use my stylus. I said, well, you want to play some game? I had my super card with me, and I had a bunch of games loaded onto it because that's how I travel. I don't bring cartridges with me, sorry. And so I said, is there anything you want to play? And he's like, well, yeah, I'd like to take a look at, I don't remember what it was. I said, dude, here, let me show you. So I whipped out the DS, and I fired it up, and I let him play with it, and that's when he got to use my battle stylus.
Wow.
And he's like, oh, this stylus is so cool, man. So I told I wrote down where he could get one. I don't know if he ever bought one, but anyway, so, I got to, show off some of the later stuff that, these guys hadn't seen yet.
Have you were you telling any of these guys that you had a website?
Actually, I did. And the guy's like, how do you know so much about this stuff? I said, well, I run this, I said podcast, I've just accepted the term. I said, yeah, I run this podcast, dual screen radio, blah, blah, blah. Well, Chris came out with a brilliant idea, and now that I think about it, it didn't work out quite as well as it could. What happened was he said I should try to find a way to promote the website using my DS name. Well, my DS name is Dark Uni. Long story. So I'm trying to figure out what can I put in. How many letters was it? 7, 8, 9, 10, like 11 letters, I think, right? That's 11 characters you can have for your name.
I don't know. That seems like an awful lot. I don't even think it's that many.
Anyway,
I think it's like 8 or something, isn't it?
So we were like totally limited on what we could. Obviously, dualscreenradio.com wasn't going to fit in there.
I don't even
so
think
I said, okay,
radio is going to work.
I'm going to go in. I'm going to go and register DSR.com because I could put that in there. That'd fit. Well, of course, DSR.com's taken, like every other 3-letter domain name. So I started looking around. I tried all sorts of combinations. I tried DS Radio, blah blah blah. So finally, I had to. What did I end up with? I think I did end up with DS Radio. That was the one I ended up with. DSRadio.com.
I honestly can't remember. I think it is DSRadio.com.
Yeah, so I bought another domain name, and I made that domain name point to dualscreenradio.com, and I changed my DS name to that. And so I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, that's really damn clever. So anybody you play, yeah, I told Chris that's brilliant. I said, we'll do that. So that anybody you play will have dsradio.com all over their screen while you're playing them. Well, here's the problem. The embedded Nintendo name is not necessarily the name that the cartridge registers for your multiplayer. Since all of my stuff was already registered to Dark Uni, even though I changed my DS name to dsradio.com, it did not change my in-game names.
All right.
So that kind of sucked. But it was a cool idea. It was a good idea.
The only thing I could think of is something like Clubhouse Games that allows you to actually go in and manually change the name.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think most of them do, but to sit there and have to do it each time, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you can't do
it. It was too late by that time, and it's not too bad. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they were giving away some great goodies. If you signed up for some contest, they were giving away like guitar picks that had the Wii on them, and they were giving away window clings of Elite Beat Agents. How cool is that?
Yeah, I got one of those thanks to you, and
I sent Chris some stuff, and then like halfway through, the guy that was behind me that I loaned my DS to, he's like, oh, check these out. And he's talking to his girlfriend or his wife or whatever significant other. And he's got these little tiny retractable earphones that have Elite Beat Agents on them. I'm like, dude, where the hell did you get those? I want some of those. And he's like, all you have to do is go up and play that kiosk, and the chick will hand you a pair. And they had a kiosk for Elite Beat Agents out. So I told my kids, stand in line here. I'm going to go up and stand in line to try to get in on this.
Now we see why you brought your kid with you.
Yeah, I needed somebody to hold my place in line. I couldn't find any homeless Chinese people to do it. So I had to bring my kid. Yeah, so we weren't buying PS3s, so she was fine to stand in line. And of course I cut her loose to go look at the concert a little bit too. So it wasn't like I was not being, I was being unreasonable or anything. So anyway, they got towards the front of the line. I was still waiting in line for Elite Beat Agents, and as it came down, by the time that my kid was at the front of the line, I had just gotten into the Elite Beat Agents thing. Dude, I completely threw that game. I mean, I did everything I could to die as fast as possible so that I could get my ass back in front of the Wii line. And basically, as soon as the chick handed me the headphones, boom, I was gone. Dude, you've never seen anybody lose a game of Elite Beat that fast. It was unbelievable. So I get in front of the line, and basically they ask you what you want to play.
So now wait a minute. In the meantime, is this guy playing with your DS?
No. I had my DS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had his DS too. He just didn't have any games for it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So I showed him the stuff off.
Why would you bring your DS and not games?
Dude, I'm sure he had like one or two games.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
that's a little odd.
Yeah, that's why I bring the Super Card, man.
Yeah,
if
that's
there's
cool,
ever
man.
a good legitimate use for the Super Card, it's so you're not standing in line for 3 hours playing the same damn game. So we got up to the front, and there were like 4 or 5 Wii kiosks, and most of them were playing Wii Sports, tennis. I think there were 2 or 3 of them playing tennis. One was playing Sight Truck, and one was playing WarioWare Smooth Moves. And basically, they would let you wait. Once you got to the front of the line, you could step to the side and wait for the next kiosk that you wanted. My kid didn't want to play. It's like, okay, fine, you go watch the band, whatever. And so I basically took first available because, get this, as you wait in line, after you're in line for about an hour, you get towards the front of the line, they have these little signs put up that says, when Hawthorne Heights plays, all demo kiosks will be shut off.
Oh.
I'm going, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So I'm going to be waiting in line for an hour and a half. I'm going to get to the front of the line, and this loser band, Hawthorne Heights, is going to start playing and shut everything off. So I said, you know what, first available. I wanted to play Excite Truck. I wanted to play Wario too, but Excite Truck looked like more fun initially. So I got to go over and play Wii or the Wii WarioWare Smooth
Moves, yeah.
And every person that went up there, I watched a few people in front of me. You got to play 6 of like 30 different games. It randomly picked 6 of them, and then the boss at the end was always the same. Sort of like WarioWare does. So I got up there, and one of these booth babe types straps the controller around my arm, and it's so funny they look so bored to be there. It's like, you just know this chick wants to go do a line of blow or something, and like she has to strap on controllers to these like middle-aged balding dudes. It's way funny, man. What a life. Anyway, so I got to play Wario Smooth Moves, and dude, it was exactly what I'd hoped it was. The controller was light, and it was so responsive, and all the games played cool, and blah blah blah. So it was a cool night, And I said as soon as I got off the Wii, I told my kid, I said, listen, we ain't hanging out for Hawthorne Heights. You got to see Reliant K. We're going home. So that was kind of it. It was kind of a neat night. There was lots of goodies to be had. It's your standard junket crap that you could pick up. And of course, I sent you some of it, which was always cool when you could hook up your buddy.
Really cool. I really like the little EBA clank. That's really cool.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, that's so cool. But anyway, so that was kind of a neat experience. If you have a chance to go to one of these fusion tours, now at least you know what to expect, and they run them all over the country. I used to live in BFE Washington where nothing came, so now that we're in Phoenix, it's like, hey, I wonder if that Nintendo show is going to come, and sure enough, it was here for a day. So that's great.
You're in more of a centerpiece of some action.
Yeah, I haven't been, so this is like the first time I've actually been able to get out and do something cool. So that's kind of it for my
really
story
cool,
times, man.
That's really good stuff.
It's good stuff to know. Like I said, I wish I'd known, more sooner. So I know the Fusion Tour is still going on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's still going on. I think it's going on for at least a few more weeks or so. Right?
Yeah, so more people can get out and
especially now
check
that
it out.
the Wii's on the verge of being
exploding.
Released. Yes.
My Wii is going to explode. Now, Chris, you have a story for Storytime.
This has been leading up for a little time. Every year around here they have it used to be called the Philly Classic. There's not much DS stuff going on here, but I figured it was game related, and I actually expected some DS stuff. It's more of it's kind of just a gaming show in general. It's situated around the Philadelphia area. It could be at a couple different places. For the last few years it's been known as the Philly Classic. And early on, I think we first went in, I think it was either 01 or 02. I think it was 01. And you go in, you pay your admission, you walk around, they got classic arcade machines set up for free play. You have the vendor tables set up. They look like, basically the vendor tables look like little mini garage sales, just guys with brown boxes of
right,
stuff.
Right, exactly.
Last year the one we went to had had a big brown box full of Commodore stuff.
Yes, that's great stuff when
there
you can
must
find
have been
that.
about 4 different Commodore systems laying in there with a couple drives. And on the side of the box it said, buy at your own risk, because some were dead and some weren't. So I'm like, okay. Can't you just test them and then sell the good ones and throw the bad ones out? So,
exactly.
Things like that.
But anyway, but they never do that sort of thing,
No, of course not. So, the first couple times we went, it was okay. It's a local thing. You don't get much stuff like that. I mean, it's something to do with video games. Around here, it's not like we don't have E3 and things, so it's kind of like, wow, this is really cool. What the heck, it's not that far away, so we'll check it out. And, now all of a sudden the Philly Classic moniker has been replaced with the VG Expo. So, since I think the beginning of last year's show was the VG Expo. And it was free. And it was also sponsored by the local news channel. And, we went. It was free. So, what the crap, man. Me and my brother and my dad hung out and, played some of the old arcade games. And there wasn't much there, but, it was free. So who really cared, I mean, it was just a quick trip up to Fort Washington here. So this year I'm thinking, well, I wasn't really impressed with it last year. And I'm thinking, I wonder if this one's going to be any better. Now, the problem is, this year, it was now $25 to get in. So, that sent up the flags right there. It was kind of like, well, this is kind of a busy weekend as it is. We were, me and the wife I took the weekend off and Friday, and we were going to go to the Renaissance Fair. We were going to go to, it was my birthday that Sunday, so we figured, maybe we'd be going after that. So we didn't want to, go ourselves too crazy. If we were going to go, we were going to go. If not, no big deal. And for $25, I kind of written the thing off. And then leading up to it, I on the website, they started putting out some more literature in terms of what was going to be there and who was going to be there. And, of course, I got a little stoked because it looked like Intellivision Lives Productions, were going to be there. And, I said to myself, well, wait a minute, maybe I'll go check this out. I mean, Television Lives Productions, maybe Keith Robinson would be there, and we could maybe ultimately find out some information concerning the In Limbo Intellivision Lives DS, which, of course, I can't wait to get that. I don't know if the last time, I think, you've talked to the guy, right? So.
Yeah, I got to play Astro Smash. Yeah.
And was that pretty decent?
It was really good. I mean, it ran just a little bit slow, but it was like a beta build, so I expected it to run a little bit slow. But yeah,
it's ready to just be shipped at this point. So, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this will be great. Maybe I can question the guy. I even made up some rudimentary, business cards that they got the point across. They weren't the best in the world, but so, at first I wasn't sure. $25, that's a lot of money. And going by what was at the last show, I'm thinking, it was fine for free, but not for $25.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the wife came home with a coupon for $5 off the show. So I'm thinking, all right, that kind of thing seems a little better, because she's going to go with me. There's no way it was just me that's going. She's going to go because we're both off, and even though when we get there, she was going to be the first to say, I want to be here, I want to go, she'll sit and play DS at home and in bed. She'll play Mahjong on Clubhouse. She'll play Elite Beat, Animal Crossing. She's a gamer to a point, but. Yeah, you get over to these shows, and all of a sudden it's like I'm beneath gaming for some reason or something.
Right.
I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you got a reputation to uphold.
Yeah, hey, wait a minute now. I'm like not one of these people. So originally we were going to go on Friday because it was cheaper. It was only $15 to get in. And to be honest with you, one of my big reasons to go was, like I said, to see Keith Robinson. So I didn't want to put a lot into this. And I found out it was really just a preview of what was going to be there, which now that after everything's said and done, I'm so glad I didn't go to that. On Saturday, the day we were originally going to go to the Renaissance Fair, it ended up raining, so we said, okay, I guess we'll be going to this game show today. So we, got the business cards, and I said, I'm not taking my DS. Last time I brought it, it was a waste of time. Nobody even had one laying around. This was before the DS really started taking off, too. It was just after the $10 had come out last year. Nowadays, it's a little more, thanks to the light, obviously I think that really boosted sales, so more people are going to have it. So anyway, we take our trip. We make our trip over. It's over at the Valley Forge Convention Center. And, to get there from where we moved, we got to take the turnpike, which consists of paying some tolls. So we get there, we pay our toll, we go through. It's about maybe a 20-mile drive or so. And, we pull up, and, there's not many places to park. I'm thinking, okay, let's say it must be a good turnout. It's at a hotel. They've got a big convention center attached to it. And we've gone here over the years for computer gaming shows. This was back in like the late 80s, early 90s, when you were buying printers that were basically barcode printers.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about. You've been to tons of those.
I remember at the time being amazed by a VGA monitor. It was playing still shots of like a tropical frog, in a tropical rainforest. And it's, oh my God, look at the colors. And now it's all retrofit to this gaming show. They always do something in there. So we walk in. And we get out of the car, we're walking towards the entrance, and right off the bat, it's Halloween weekend more or less. Everybody's trying to get their parties in since Halloween fell on a Tuesday. So all these people they look like teenagers and maybe early 20s, college students, all dressed up in ridiculous outfits. Because of course they had a deal where if you dress in your in a costume from a video game, you get $3 off. So now. Last I checked, goth people, dressing up like goth, wearing all the black and the chains and the boots and the mascara, the fishnet stockings on the arms. I didn't.
What character is that?
I said to my wife, I don't remember ever seeing a video game character that would look like this.
Yeah.
And much less, I didn't realize they were, fans of video games. I'm sorry to say. I mean, I guess it's going in there. I discovered that there were three types of audiences. There were the old-time gamers that were in their 40s, 50s, playing, somewhat balding, wearing their penny loafers, and their jeans, and they're playing, just normal Joes. They're in there playing things like Gorf and Galaga and Lunar Lander. And there was the other crowd of gamers that were more of the I guess you would call them in Generation Gimme types. They were there. They wanted to see the PlayStation, and they wanted to see the Nintendo 64, and then you had the third group, which weren't gamers at all. They were loiterers. It almost seemed like the types that, well, yeah, I play video games. I've played Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm cool, man. I'm going to come dressed like something out of The Crow, with Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whatever. Some of these costumes are just totally out of hand, man. I would have hated to have brought a young kid to the show and looking at some of these costumes. They just weren't fitting right. They were very scandalous. So we get up to the entrance and we pay our admission. And what's quite convenient is the entire show is behind this big tarp. With all the advertising for the sponsors all along the side of the tarp, and Television Lives, EB Games, EGM, all these people are supposedly sponsoring this show somewhere. Where, I don't know, because I didn't see a hair of them at the show. So we pay our admission, we give our coupon, $40, here you go. We walk around to the entrance to get in. First of all, just getting into the place before we even paid our admission.
Yeah.
Something threw me off because there were a lot of kids just kind of hanging out, sitting around steps, doing nothing.
That's never a good sign.
These kids weren't even playing PSPs, weren't playing
loitering,
DSs, nothing.
Loitering youth, yeah.
They were sitting around like the girls would be dressed up like naughty nurses, or the guys would
Thrill
be dressed
Kill, got
up
it.
in black. Or you saw a couple people dressed up like Final Fantasy characters, Link, Zelda. They were there, I think, the year before, showing off, I guess, their costume again. But they're all just sitting around. They're not doing anything. Just walking down the steps was a chore. We're trying to avoid walking on people, and it's like, excuse us, can we use these stairs for what they're intended to be used for? Because we had to go downstairs. So we get in there, and we're walking around. As soon as you walk in, the first thing you see are, and everything's kind of micromanaged because there's sections. There's the vendors are in a separate section, and some other things I'll get to are in other sections. But you can never see everything at once. It's not just one big laid out room like it used to be, where everything was in one huge, just big open area. Now it's all sectioned off behind these tarps. And I'm thinking, I wonder what the point of this is. I wonder if they're trying to hide something. So walking in, the first thing I hear is, oh my God, I'm hungry. Because at this point, by the time we got there, it was like 12:30. And I'm thinking, all right, it's lunchtime. I'm a little hungry too. I didn't want to eat lunch in this place, but the wife starts freaking out when she gets hungry because she has to have food, or she starts getting headaches, the whole nonsense.
Well, dude, your wife weighs like 80 pounds soaking wet. Of course she has to eat.
So, but she's always eating. She's constantly eating. That's what's funny. So we go in, and I'm thinking, great, okay, we just paid admission. What's the first thing we're doing? We're eating. So we sit down. They have 2 tables set up with 8 chairs at each table.
2 whole tables?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they've got a big thing here of guys selling food and another table selling salads and more healthy alternatives. Let me just say that was a barren wasteland, because the other place was selling cheesesteaks, and chicken tender platters. And,
damn, cheesesteak sounds good.
Oh yeah. And you're in the Philly area too.
I'm hungry too.
You're getting good cheesesteaks right here. So anyway, the food's overpriced, but what are you going to do? Here I am thinking, okay, I got my gaming money just in case I happen to see something at this thing. Now I'm already using that money to buy food. I'm buying a $9 dish of French fries and chicken tenders. So we decided, you know what, this is stupid. I'm not going to buy myself something else to eat. I saw what they have to offer. I'm thinking, we'll just get one thing, we'll eat that. So we sit down, we're eating, and I'm looking around, checking out, taking everybody in. Meanwhile, my wife's kind of like looking like the eyes are just moving back and forth with wide-eyed, like, what am I experiencing here, Now, I'd taken her one of these before, and it was kind of like, all right, let's just do your thing so we can get out of here,
Yeah, can we go home now, please?
Yeah, this is like me going to, being in Victoria's Secret or something. So, we're sitting there, and I'm thinking, come on, let's just eat. I want to get this thing over with and see what's going on. Because behind us is the arcade. They got all the systems set up, and I have to admit, this was very cool. They had all the systems set up, all the machines, rather, set up on free play. Everybody's playing. The only ones playing were older guys. So I guess not everybody was playing. Most of these guys were in their 30s, 40s, 50s playing these arcade machines. Turn around, you got a kid here, you got a kid there. They're all sitting around eating or talking. No DS, no PSP.
Text messaging.
Text messaging, yeah.
Yeah, that's the communication of our day now is text messaging.
I mean, of course, you get the women with the cell phones. And
yeah.
It's like their mommy and daddies just kind of dropped them off and they spent the day there, just kind of hanging out.
That's cheap babysitting, $25 for the whole day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Come on now, that's awesome.
They're all sitting there eating and talking. I'm saying to myself, okay, we got to check out the vendor room. It would have been nice, even $25, just to sit and play these arcade games all day. It would have been a complete waste, in my opinion.
Right.
Half the time you couldn't even get in to play them anyway, but the amount of games were there was pretty decent. They had a Gorth, they had a Dragon's Lair. So,
nice.
It was pretty cool. But, I was there because I wanted to talk about the DS and see what was going on, maybe pimp the show a little bit with the business cards.
Sure.
Right off the bat, I didn't see anybody I'd be giving these cards to, unless I wanted to give them to a 10-year-old who I didn't even know if he liked the DS. So on the other side of the room, they have kiosks set up for each of the main systems. They had the GameCube, they had the Nintendo, they had the Super Nintendo, they had the N64. Each one had their own screen and their own system set up. Atari 2600, PlayStation, and they had 2 controllers so everybody could play like something like Super Smash Brothers, things like that, multiplayer games. So finally, we go through this, and we get to the big vendor area. The exhibitor area, where all the people are selling things or trying to, just promote things. And I'm thinking, all right, here's what I wanted to do. Cause I was also on the hunt for a original Dreamcast VMU from Sega. While I was there, I figured I gotta get something out of this. So we walk in, and I'm shocked. I could already count the amount of tables. There were about 8 tables.
Wow.
The room was barely as big as where we were eating. So I walk around, we take one loop around, and even the wife said before I did, that's it? This is what we paid $25 or $20 for? I said, wait a minute, there's got to be more to this, because, look, it goes around that little alcoving. There's got to be something else there. The first thing we see when we walk in wasn't even a video game table. It was a overweight woman selling action figures. She had a table full of action figures. We had, actually Star Wars action figures, G.I. Joe, He-Man, and, occasionally you had a few, video game referenced characters there, like those $100 Final Fantasy figurines, whatever. I'm thinking, okay, this is not getting off to a good start. Why are we looking at a table of women selling action figures? So I turn to my right, and there's a table selling those VG Pocket caplets that I've actually been talking about this week, and I'm actually looking to somehow review at some point. So we bypass this, we're going ahead, and we're thinking, okay, well, hopefully this gets a little better. In the middle of this big open area was basically a big advertisement for NVIDIA. Selling,
that's funny.
Yeah, they're trying to sell the graphics cards, I guess. They had some Dell systems because Dell was also one of the sponsors. What they have to do with video games, I have no idea. And I'm looking, and they had their big heavy-duty system set up, and I think one was playing like Call of Duty. Another one may have been playing, I don't know, insert first-person shooter here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we go around the other side, and there's something called the Video Game Museum. The Video Game Museum consists of a 10-foot walkway with these glass cases with an Atari 2600, Rob, from the Nintendo system, the Zapper, and I think there might have been an Odyssey 2 in there or something like that. That was pretty much the museum. ColecoVision. Wasn't very exciting, so we ditched that. Had a little 5-minute printout history of what the system was. Like, whatever. Nobody was in there at all, because all the hot place to be was out front there where they're serving food and you could hang out on the steps, with all the kids. So we went around and I'm like, oh, here we go. Here's some video games. Here's a stack of PS1 games. Okay. Anything else? Let's see. Hey, there's a boxed Vectrex system, $250. Wow. Don't even know if it works. Okay, looking around. Oh, there's a Dreamcast. Oh, there's another Dreamcast. Oh, there's a Chinese imported bootleg Famicom NES hybrid. 10 of them, $40 a piece.
Wow.
And conveniently centered under them were the original cartridges for $15 to $20 a piece. Okay, moving on. Next table. Oh, we're selling slot machines. Yeah.
$25 well spent.
Yes, okay, we're selling slot machines and various other goods. PS1 discs. Oh, here's some imported Saturn discs. Yeah, they're flying off the shelves. Hey, actually, I was actually happy to see that kind of stuff, because that's the kind of stuff I like to see, even though I may not be interested. I think it's cool that somebody's actually in this place selling imported Saturn discs. I think that's pretty cool. So moving on to the next table, it's a guy in a shirt and a tie, and he's selling our local ISP provider, Comcast. Snoozing on by him. He looked, he was the kind of guy that he's standing there with his hands behind his back, and as soon as we walked by, it's like, oh my God, I made eye contact,
You're screwed.
It's like a skunk getting ready to just explode on me, It's like you ever go to the mall and you're walking along and, can I just do some, are you have nails? I get this all the time. They get these little kiosks in the mail, or in the mall rather, and they're trying to sell you stuff,
Yeah, those bad bootlegs.
They're always hitting my wife, oh yes, and she'd be like, fake nails, thank you, fake. Usually, I'll just have her sit on the other side of me, so when they say something, I'll say, no, my nails are fine. So I'm walking along, and, the guy just wanted to attack us. I'm thinking, move. I already made eye contact, don't look. So at the next table, we had somebody selling the local newspaper, the Philadelphia Inquirer. Moving on, I'm still looking for some more game action here. Meanwhile, this is about, I'm up to maybe about the 5th table in now. So we get to the 6th table. And these guys have been here before, I recognize them. They're selling, Pac-Man glasses and buttons and stuff like that. And I'm thinking,
pop culture collectibles.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on. The next table were these guys selling silkscreen T-shirts. You could have your own custom design. Look, custom to the point where you had 20 to choose from. Like, I'm a rockin' gamer, or I choose joysticks over girls, or witty things like that. So
nice.
Yeah, another fabulous set table. The key moment to the whole thing was, I'm sure they're good pals of yours. Atari Age was there.
Yeah.
So those are at least the guys I recognize. I'm thinking, okay, finally we're getting somewhere. We got some substance. Atari Age. I know who these guys are. And they had a pretty cool table. I didn't really spend a lot of time at it, but they had some stuff set up. They were selling their homebrew, 2600 stuff, and I'm thinking, all right, well, that's cool. But meanwhile, I'm sitting there saying to myself, where is Intellivision Lives? So we see another couple tables up ahead, and we're thinking, all right, maybe this is them, but no, it's just more guys hawking more of their product. And I didn't even find my Dreamcast VMU, dude. I was just so disappointed in this show.
That sucks.
We were in there for 15 minutes, and we completely went through the whole show. This wasn't something.
Wow.
I've never been to Classic Gaming Expo. I'm assuming it's a little bigger than this.
Yeah, just a tad.
Yeah, and so anyway, my wife said, going in, we get these bracelets that are kind of like when you visit the ER at the hospital. You get your little bracelet with your information on it. So we go up there, and I said, look, I'm getting my refund. I'm getting a refund. I'm getting my money back. This is ridiculous. I go up to the front. It's the same guy. He's like, oh, yeah, I remember you. And we said, look, dude, you remember, we've been here for 15 minutes, and 5 of those minutes we spent eating.
Right.
Maybe 10. I said, I'd like a refund. This is not what I thought it was going to be. Okay, the arcade machines are nice and everything, but where are the vendors? I said, one of the rooms, and that's the other thing, one of the rooms was this big open room that was bigger than either of the other two rooms, and it was just PCs lined up. I guess guys were playing LAN sessions. There was no one in there playing.
Wow.
Most of the activity was out in the lobby area, just before the show, or in the little area where you paid, but you're eating food and hanging out. And it was, people were just eating and talking. Kids. The smart guys were the older guys playing the machines. So I said, I'd like a refund. So we get the refund, and off we went. I was just totally disgusted that we wasted our time there, and I felt really bad because I know she wasn't really wanting to go, but she said, I'll go, and we'll that's fine.
That's love.
The only positive thing is, well, we did find her a dress for this upcoming wedding, so at the mall. So we went over to the mall for the rest of the day, and that was pretty much our visit to the VG Expo in Philadelphia. It was on October 27th to 29th. And don't let the website fool you, and it made it look like a lot more than what it was. And what's funny is some guys, another guy in the forum, his name's Chris actually too, and that's his name, which is pretty funny. I know he was actually looking forward to going to it, and I'm just glad that he didn't get sucked into it. I'm sure he probably would have enjoyed some of the arcade machines, but the rest of the show was not what it was intended to be, in my opinion. I don't know if we missed something, but we went there on Saturday. Of the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you would think Saturday would be the more, popular, one to go to of the days. That was the main day, I would think, for the whole thing to be taking place. Everybody would be there. I think Tommy Tallarico showed up there at some point during the day. I don't quite understand his celebrity status.
Yeah, well, but, I don't understand a lot of it.
And there's some pictures floating around online from Flickr, and every single picture I recognized because the show wasn't that big. It wasn't even something like, oh my God, I missed that.
Right.
So, definite disappointment. Hopefully next year they'll get themselves situated a little better. But I know I'm looking online, and these guys are just going gaga for it, and I don't really understand what that's about. I was really disappointed. I even said to the kid, I said, I thought Intellivision Lives was supposed to be here, but now I understand. It was a sponsor, so I think that was some false advertising on your part.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up.
But anyway, that's.
Well, sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it was.
That kind of sucks.
I was hoping to whore at the show a little bit, but it didn't even happen.
As it tends not to. I hear you, dude.
So.
Well, that'll wrap up Storytime Theater for this episode. Now that we've gone on and on, I'm sure that you guys will find it entertaining anyway. Next up, we're going to talk about what's coming, what's out, and what's worth your cash.
Hey.
Up next, what's out now and why should you care? There's quite a few good games out right now, especially over the last month and a half that we've been missing. Chris, you want to run down what's out now, and I'll talk about what's coming soon.
No problem. We started out on October 24th, And we had Magical Star Sign, Tony Hawk Downhill Jam, Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island, Star Trek Tactical Assault, which I think a lot of people will probably be interested in, being a lot of Trekkies around. Touch Detective, Scourge the Hive, and this is amazing. I find this fascinating. But
Conductor shipped.
Yes, October 31st we have Conductor, Children of Mana, Pokemon Ranger, Hammy Goes Nuts, which is a secondary story to what was that movie? Over the Hedge.
Yeah, who cares?
Need for Speed Carbon.
Sorry.
Sims 2 Pets, which is a pretty feeble attempt on the Ten Dogs racket. Elite Beat Agents, of course. Cats. Bomberman Land Touch, which actually I think isn't it coming out this week? Is that out?
That might have gotten delayed.
I
yeah.
think that got delayed. I think
so too.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Cats ship yet either. So.
No, actually, you know what? We should double check some of these dates, I guess. But.
Yeah, well, we compiled these dates like a month and a half ago.
Yeah. But we know for certain the following games are currently out now, as you hear this. Yoshi Island DS has finally dropped onto the DS. And it's interesting because originally it was Yoshi Island 2. Now it's Yoshi DS. So I'm wondering if it's intended to be a full-fledged sequel or whatever. Final Fantasy III should now be at your local retailer. I'm looking forward to that. And I know another big one that Shane's highly interested in, Winx Club, the Quest for the Codex.
Yeah, I was actually going to stand in line for that or hire some Chinese unemployed people to stand in line for that. But, they didn't get any copies anyway, so.
You used that line earlier. You need to get some more material.
I'm going to have to get some more material. It's not going to be funny anymore.
Also coming out this week, actually, as we record, Spider-Man Battle for New York. Happy feet. Your feet won't be too happy when you leave the store.
And neither will the rest of you.
No. Bionicle Heroes, Charlotte's Web, which I think is actually based on a live-action movie, which I thought they already did with Babe.
Yeah, it was basically
Eragon,
something.
Which is another movie title. My Frogger Toy Trials, which I think we'll be probably talking about in a future show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we'll be talking about it.
Monster Bomber, which is a Majesco game, but it's actually created by Taito. Yes. And looking at the Japanese import some months ago, it kind of had a Space Invaders / Bust a Move kind of thing going on to it. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about that yet. But they're a good company. Hamster's Life. Now that's for you ghettos out there. Hamsters, man.
Hamsters, y'all.
Yeah, yo, we going to Compton with the Hamsters.
Snather me up some homies.
Settlers 2, which I think a lot of people are looking forward to. Real-time strategy.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one kicking around yet either.
No, a lot of these are supposed to be coming out this week, but as of now, we don't know.
Yeah, a lot of these are still on GameStop's list, too, and you never know how that works out.
We'll probably be addending this list next week.
Absolutely.
Tamagotchi Connection Corner Shop number 2. The sequel to the original Tamagotchi.
The one that sold 1 billion copies and couldn't sell me for an hour.
In Japan, man, that's like still one of the highest sold third-party games. It's amazing.
That's called not getting it, I guess.
Horses, another ghetto title.
Another ghetto title for you homies.
And once again, we have the game we've been kind of bringing up every last show. It seems like it's been coming out for a while, too, is Gunpeg is finally coming out. It's also coming out for the PSP. Not sure which is the superior title yet. I guess it's kind of similar to how Medios and Lumines came out for the PSP at the same time.
Lumines.
On the DS, yes.
Yes.
Now, coming soon. Do you want to take coming soon?
Yeah, sure. I'll take this one. Asphalt GT or Urban GT2 comes out supposedly this coming week here. We'll
16th.
see what happens. Ubisoft has been pretty reliable, so it's probably the truth. It'll probably come out on the 16th as it's supposed to. It actually looks like a fairly solid racer, but we'll have to check that out. Superman Returns on the 20th. Lionel Trains on Track from Jack of All Games. Now, didn't Jack of All Games make some other really crappy titles?
Yeah, they're not exactly
no, they're budget.
high class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also on the 21st.
I'm curious now because I know I've seen that name bouncing around.
Yeah.
So while you're reading these, I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, you check that out.
Other wonderful games these companies are making, and I'm going to use our database to find.
That's right, which is available at www.dualscreenradio.com. Total Spies 2 Undercover from Atari also comes out on the 21st. Dogs, for the Z version for you homies, also from Ubisoft on the 21st. March of the Penguins from our friends at Jack of All Games on the 21st. Brain Boost, Gamma Wave, and Beta Wave from Majesco. Now, these are two I'm definitely keeping my eye out for, riding the Brain Age and Big Brain Academy train. And Majesco usually does good stuff, so we'll have to see what that comes out like. That's on the 21st. Cartoon Network Racing on the 28th. That's going to be either a totally kick-butt game or it's going to totally stink on ice.
Is that Game Factory? Is that a typo?
I bet that's a typo. It's supposed to be Game Factory, I think, which means it's probably not going to turn out very good. Also on the 28th, Shrek Smash and Crash, another Activision probably on rails running around in a pseudo 3D environment game. Boy, they like to whore that engine out.
Yeah. And you know what?
Yeah.
The next few games you're going to list are very tentative.
Yeah. All these ones that are on the first here, that say December 1st, these are all like pseudo release lists from GameStop. So I would take these with a grain of salt and not plan your purchases specifically around them. But on the first, this whole next list all supposed to come out on the first. Chibi Robo, is that right? Chibi Robo Park Patrol, which is the GameCube conversion for the DS. Diddy Kong Racing, which I don't know, man. I don't see that coming out. DS Air, probably not. Hotel Dusk. I think I've already heard that got pushed to January, but
I thought so too.
Hotel Dusk Room 215, which looks like a great.
You know what, man? That's fine with me because there's just too much.
There's too much other stuff to play, man. Go Pets from Konami.
The spring's going to be the quiet time anyway, so let's save some for that.
Save some for the springtime. What is that? Zeolin Showdown? I don't even know what that is. It's a Konami title, though. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Ring of Fate. I don't know about that one either.
I'm not counting on that one.
I'm not counting on that either.
We haven't even seen barely any screenshots for.
Box art
with the
or anything.
exception for Hotel Dusk. I mean, think about it. Diddy Kong, Chibi Robo, DS, Air.
We're going to have, 6 first-party titles come out on the first? Nah.
Man, we haven't really seen a whole lot. I think those are placeholder dates, personally.
I think so, too. But we'll find out for you. We'll let you know. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Spirit Caller, like we needed another Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. Rampage Total Destruction. Now, that could turn out to be pretty cool if they don't dick it up. Also from Activision, though, so, And also on the first, which will be a first if it actually does come out, Major League Baseball 2006 or 2K6, which, I'm down for a baseball game on the DS, to be honest with you. I like good baseball, especially if it's more arcade style.
But, you know what else is, it would be cool if you were able to maybe use the stylus to swing the bat, sort of like True Swing Golf.
Yeah, that'd be so sweet, but...
Now, who's making that game? Do you have any idea? Is that Nintendo?
Oh, no, it's in the database. I remember that. It just got cut off, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, but, so it depends on how you look at it. There's a ton of stuff that's definitely coming in the next month or two, even if things got pushed back.
Yeah,
we're still talking. It's Take-Two Interactive, dude. That's who it was. The guys that gave us Top Spin, Aborted 2.
Forget it.
Yeah, forget that, dude.
Never mind. Cross that off.
Cross that off the potential buying list.
I'm not a big baseball fan, but you know what? I'll tell you what. One baseball game I really like is the Baseball Stars series. Remember on the Neo Geo?
Yeah, I remember that one. A lot of people dug
fun.
on that.
And the 2020 baseball, that was a blast too. Those are probably my favorites. But unless it incorporates some cool touchscreen, thing, playability or something, I'll probably pass. But seeing now who this is coming from, I'm not counting on much. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that sums it up for the coming attractions and what's out now. I say we move on to Touch and Go. Let's see if we can burn through this stuff, huh?
Touch and Go, dude.
Touch and Go. All right, Chris. Looks like you are up.
Man, what a month.
Yeah, it's been crazy busy, and this isn't even everything either. We're going to have to move some of the news to next month.
Yeah, next show.
Next show, yeah, thank you. I'm still on Retro Gaming Radio time, my bad.
Don't worry. Our next show hopefully won't be another month.
God,
gestation.
Please.
Okay, well, getting things started. Everybody's favorite shooter on the Nintendo DS is obviously Nanostray, since that's really the only shooter that's available. Nanostray 2's website is officially open. They got some screenshots up there. That's pretty new news, actually.
Yeah, that's fairly new.
Something that just came out within the last few days. Not really oh my God, this looks so cool, feeling it yet. But some of the screenshots that they have on there right now that kind of look like more of the same stuff, that pseudo 3D scrolling effect. Actually, it looks like pretty much the same darn game as the first one, except in this case, your power-ups aren't put on the touch screen. It looks like now they are actually wasting the touch screen by putting just a score and your remaining ships. So
excellent use of the touch screen.
Yeah, hopefully those are all just temporary images. It actually looks like they incorporated some horizontal shooting, which, as I said, is probably better suited to this more horizontally oriented screen on the DS, unless they wanted to do a double screen vertical play, which I really think they should have tried.
They should have.
I think it could have worked. I mean, Metroid Pinball worked fine, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll be keeping an eye on that as a shooter fan, seeing how that goes.
Someone's slacking.
Yeah, exactly. A new Star Wars game is coming out. Star Wars Lethal Alliance. They're really whoring out the Star Wars franchise here. It looks like kind of a Tomb Raider kind of thing where you're running around in third person, looking behind their character. Some new screenshots are out. We've got a link to them. Check that out. Probably most people have seen them by now. And this is an old news story, but it's still worth talking about. Is the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl have sold 1.5 million copies combined on their first release in Japan, and their stock sold out completely. So
1.5 mil, folks.
Pretty amazing stuff. I mean, I'm anxious to see how that's going to translate for over here when it shows its face. I mean, it looks like at this point, I guess it'll be next year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the Pokemon Dungeon games sold pretty well. So.
Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to like them better than I like Diamond and Pearl, but we'll see. I'm going to keep my mind open.
You're going to give Diamond and Pearl a try, but
I'm going to. I really am.
You're cautious, yeah.
I'm very cautious.
Well, think of it this way: incorporate a little bit of Final Fantasy III.
Yeah.
And that's how you pretty much capture your monsters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
give me Pokemon Ranger capturing, please.
See, yeah, at least it's a little more interactive, which I think is cool.
I like that.
This is some new news, and I'm quite frankly excited about it. I know my wife is. Deluxe Pang is being brought to the DS early next year. I think it's April of 2007. Now, people may be saying, what is Deluxe Pang? Well, actually, Pang is the Japanese title for the U.S. game Buster Brothers, which you'll remember from the arcades, early 90s, Capcom. And it's in conjunction with Mitchell, the company who created Polarium, and, of course, our favorite game, Puzzle Loop, a.k.a. Magnetica.
Yeah.
Or for you UK folk, Action Loop. So,
Action Loop. You poor UK guys, man.
It's an exciting title, man.
Very exciting.
So anyway, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see how this is being pulled off, because we were in some conversations via email with the guy, our buddy from Mitchell, from Japan, and I kind of mentioned this. I said, dude, I'd really love to see a DS Buster Brothers. I mean, it'd be a perfect fit for the DS. Anybody who's interested in the series, they did have a compilation for it on the PS1 at one point. It's pretty hard to get nowadays, but if I'm not mistaken, there's an upcoming PSP compilation that's going to have Super Puzzle Fighter and these games on it. So you might want to check that out. That's one thing I wouldn't mind having a PSP for. It'd be really nice. The one drawback is this game is not being created by Mitchell. I'm hoping they've got some kind of input at some other company called Nibris, which I've never heard of.
I've heard of Nibris. They've got some games out already, yeah. I don't remember what they put out, though. But I've seen some already out.
If I'm not mistaken, they're not. No, that's not a Nastry. I don't think they're a Japanese company, are they? I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. But anyway, I'm a little scared. Now, this is about a month ago, but the BAFTA awards which is a British Academy of Film and Television Arts Award, have announced the Academy Video Games Award winners. And the DS was included among them. The winner of Innovation went to Brain Age, and for audio, Electroplankton. So there you go. Further concreting the fact that the DS is here to stay for a while.
Hey, a little follow-up on that Nibris. Nibris are the folks making that Raid Over the River game for the DS.
That was it. I knew it was a shooter, and at first I had Nanostray in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen a whole lot from them either. So,
yeah, we've seen some decent video, but, again, it's going to... These guys sound like they're dedicated to the cause, and they seem to keep in good touch with the community, so I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens.
The thing is, some of these third parties are really coming across almost equivalent to a homebrew kind of thing. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, we're going to work on this for a few months, and we'll let you know later. And then, okay, well, we're still working on the game. And then a year later, yeah, we're still working on it. Yeah, so it's obviously they're doing whatever they want when they want. So
nice to have that luxury, huh?
Yeah, there's some new screens out for Harvest Moon, the island I developed with you. I have a good feeling that title will change by the time it reaches America.
I'm thinking so.
I think there's a little English going on there.
Yes, English is not good for American titles. Maybe they'll call it Harvest Moon Action Loop. Maybe they'll call it that.
Action cropping.
Action Island, yes.
Action milking of the cows. Yeah. But the game actually looks really cool. It's a lot nicer looking than the recent GBA shovelware. You knew that game was just made for the GBA, and they kind of dumped it on DS at the last minute. This looks like a full-fledged DS. They incorporated a lot of the things that the DS is capable of, including the 3D. So it should be nice. It looks really good. New screens for Need for Speed Carbon,
which is out in stores, I believe, either this week or it came out last week.
Yeah, the video is not bad. Looks decent.
It looks like EA might actually be taking this whole supporting the DS to heart thing. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, money is money. I mean, if they're going to put their money towards a game, I would think they would want to put, as much as they could to get a quality product out. But
that's what I used to think ages ago too. But it's EA.
This is the EA we used to know. So.
No.
Kirby fans will be excited to hear Nintendo of Japan has opened a Kirby Squeak Squad mini site. It's in Japanese, but it's a nice little preview of what's to come.
Yeah, and I think they just released a U.S. site
one.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. I was playing around with the import a little bit, and it was actually a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to picking up the U.S. release. The bottom screen is actually used for to simulate his stomach. So when you swallow something, like if you swallow, you've played Kirby. I don't know if you played the.
I played the original Game Boy version, the original black and white Game Boy version.
Yeah, so you suck an enemy and you get his powers, kind of like Rogue from X-Men.
Yeah.
And once you suck a power in and you use it, anything else you suck in, you can also suck in other things behind. Even though you have a power, you can still suck some things in. Like not suck them, but when you jump on them, you can save them for later. So, like, if at some point you need to use the fire in the ice level, you could bring that out and use it to melt some ice and things like that. So his little stomach is floating. All these little power-ups are floating in his stomach at the bottom. I think you can hold about 5 of them at a time. So whenever you need them, you just tap on them with your touch screen, your stylus or your finger, whatever, kind of like Princess Peach.
Yeah.
And he'll take that power. So it's really cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that out. The latest word in the struggle, and this is a little bit of off from the DS news, but there's an ongoing struggle still to get the WarioWare Twisted released in New York. What am I saying? Europe.
Wow.
And the word is it's currently on schedule for December. So, yeah.
So you guys finally get that.
Yes.
Thank God.
And we've already gone through the listing for the song listing. Yeah, well, there's some new screenshots out for Gunpei. So, I'm not sure how good this game is. I really haven't had a chance to check into it. I guess we'll find out since it's being released this week if it's going to be any good.
Yeah.
But the screenshots look kind of decent, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's from the guys who put together Medios.
So it should be pretty decent.
Yeah. Some other news, and this is kind of cool. The DS's spiritual sequel or update to the Taito arcade classic Camel Try, which probably only you and I...
Maybe like 5 other people know what that is. Yeah,
that are probably listening to the show. Has been available for some time now over in Japan under the name of Mawashiti Koran. Now it is coming to the European market with the exciting name of Labyrinth.
Very exciting name.
Now, this is no relation to the Jennifer Connelly Love Fest from the mid-'80s.
That's what you get for reading from script, pal.
I was mainly reading from script in this case because I wanted to get that Japanese name right.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
But
I don't get them right when I do have a script, so.
But anyway, it's a neat game. I mean, the old one used to be pretty cool, so I'm hoping that maybe it'll get an American release. Maybe Majesco or somebody will release it over here. You know,
that'd be way cool, dude.
I mean, it's kind of neat. It involves where you have a maze and you have to get to the goal, and you have a ball, and you don't move the ball, but you have to move the level around the ball. You know, it's like one of those wooden marble labyrinth games that you can still get at like Toys R Us.
Yeah, it's way cool.
You know, you use the stylus to rotate the whole level. Other news, and this is a big shocker. Originally, we weren't sure what the details were, if this was just over in Europe or it was all around in America and Europe. But Konami has delayed the European release of Castlevania Portrait of Ruin for the Nintendo DS until February of 2007. Now, supposedly the extra development time is supposedly to allow the developers to include some online spell trading, internet-based shop system. In addition, a co-op two-player boss rush mode will be included, allowing you and a friend to take on all the game's bosses in turn. Now, I thought this was something that was already included, so who knows? But if they're delaying this for the European market because of these features, does that mean we're not getting it in the U.S.? I mean, I don't quite get that. But
yeah.
A lot of times the European release of these games is delayed because they're trying to add French, Spanish, Italian, Deutsch to all the to choose your language screens, but I don't know. And this is hot news. Hopefully this will come out in time, the show, to pick up on this. Nintendo is looking for a little cross promotion this week as they go back to Animal Crossing and drop a Zelda related gift into the game. So I guess if you connect to the Animal Crossing Wi-Fi at all, and then run back and check your little mailbox, you'll pick up a little item from Zelda in celebration of the release of Twilight Princess, which is going to be dropping on the 17th of November. So starting November 17th, you'll be able to get this on your Animal Crossing DS. Now, I mean, if I'm thinking correctly, I remember there was a big list some time ago of some hacked items. Guys were using their action replays and whatnot to get these items, Animal Crossing without having to work for them.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of stuff for cheating in Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and I think a couple of the items that were listed were like the Triforce in a stone, on top of a little stone slab, and the Master Sword actually in a stone slab, kind of similar to like how Excalibur was,
Right.
So chances are it's one of those items.
It's too bad that cheaters have to ruin everything for everybody, huh?
Yeah, this is kind of cool. I don't have one, so I'll probably check it out. Like I said earlier in the show, I was looking to get back to checking out Animal Crossing and see what's going on. I haven't been on there in a while, just for some kicks. Maybe I'll try grabbing some fish.
Yeah, see what fish are out during the fall season.
This is pretty funny. Sony, they love to get into media and kick themselves in their own butts, with some of these funny interviews and just various quotes that are going through the media. Usually early on it was, how they're going to kick our butts, kick Nintendo's butts, and every DS user, only wants to play Pokemon and things of that sort.
Don't you love it?
This time Sony is basically saying there's no comparison between the DS and the PSP because they are basically two different markets.
Boy, they sure change their tune when they lose, don't they?
It's amazing. It's just kind of like Electronic Arts, how they are jumping over to the DS bandwagon now.
Yeah.
Now, the way Sony is looking at it is that the PSP was always intended to be a multimedia device.
Right.
This is not a gaming device. The Nintendo DS is the gaming device. So, and this is the quote, we're providing more of an entertainment system, and they're focused more on gaming. So, okay, I understand now. So, the PSP is just about everything but gaming. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure. Yeah, well, that's why early on everybody was, being
chanting the death of the DS.
because the PSP was going to be the big gaming system now.
Yeah, console games on the go, which is what everyone's in a hurry to get, obviously.
Some also new news is there's some early video. This is actually the first I've seen of it, other than some really crappy screenshots of the upcoming Wario side-scroller called Wario the Thief. You can check out some video. It's a French site, which I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. I mean, I think I could say the Japanese stuff better than I can do the French stuff. So we have the link on there. The one thing I've noticed with this video is, it would be nice if these guys who go out to these shows and they get this cool exclusive footage of these games running on, early, their beta versions and whatnot, demos, early before scenes, behind the scenes looks at these games before they're released. It'd be nice if they could get a player that actually was capable of playing these games properly.
Oh, now you're just asking too much now.
Because I'm looking at this video and I really don't know what the whole setup of this game is, but there's a lot of screwing around and trying things that it's like, well, are we going to play the game or are we going to sit here and run into a wall?
I go running into the wall for the win. Nice. More people trying to cash in on the brain age craze. The Professor's Brain Trainer Logic and the Professor's Brain Trainer Memory for the Nintendo DS provides players of all ages with everything they need for a full course of stimulation, I bet, learning and brain training. The two titles have been developed in conjunction with renowned brain and neurology professor Dr. Makoto Shishiyada.
This is my favorite part of the show, when you get stuck with these Japanese names.
Shichida. Yeah. Professor at the University of Newport. Why can't the guy have an English name if he's going to the University of Newport?
Let's just call him Dr. Makoto.
Dr. Makoto. They test, train, and improve the player's brain functions. Now I'm getting
like
burned.
Need some.
Yeah. I'm going to need some stimulation. In a series of fun challenges and problems using dual screens and touchscreen functionality.
We need some Rumble support with that too.
Yeah, we've heard it before. There's like 17 billion brain age games coming out. So, anyway, just one or two more games to add to the collection. For those of you who are wondering about the Opera browser for the Nintendo DS, if no one wanted to import the Japanese version because everybody was afraid because they couldn't speak Japanese, well, now you can import it from Europe. Opera DS is now available in Europe, and you can order it, and it's in full English. So, good stuff there. Yes, Tony Hawk Downhill Jam supposedly is going to be one of the first games to make use of the DS's built-in microphone to allow you to speak to your friends during the game. Well, I knew it sounded too good to be true, and I was right. The chat can be used mid-race for little playful banter between rivals. The microphone button is located in the bottom left of the touch screen. So first of all, you have to take your hand off the controls to use it. Dumbass idea there. And when hit, it begins to record about 5 seconds of audio. Once the 5 seconds is up, the message is sent to the other player. Although there's a bit of lag between units, the chat function worked great, according to this source. When testing out the function, we were in a very noisy-filled room with Wii players, and the voice still came out very strong through the DS speakers, even with the background noise. All right, now, see, that is a little different to me than being able to chat in real time during the game.
I have a feeling it would do something. No, but I have a feeling it would sound something like this while you're playing. You're playing the game, okay?
Yeah.
You're trying to talk some smack.
Yeah.
Your mom sucks.
Yeah, we're going to check that one out.
You don't have a penis. No. That's probably what we're going to be dealing with. I mean, and that's low key stuff, man. I mean,
yeah, I could only imagine it, dude.
Insert some racial slurs and whatnot in there.
Yeah. Oh well. Hey, some update in the homebrew community. The author of the renowned homebrew application DS Organize, which everybody hailed as the PDA software for the DS, has finally thrown in the towel.
That's a shame, dude.
Yeah, well, you know how Generation Gimme is, dude. Everybody probably sent him hate mail and gave him a bunch of crap, and why doesn't it work on my card, you son of a bitch, and blah, blah, blah.
I'll tell you what, I love the file manager. I think that's cool.
The file manager's sweet, and it's really sad to see this go down the tubes because of a bunch of people complaining. But, hey, it was a good while it lasted. There's a Wi-Fi chat program that's up to version 0.4. That was at the time of writing. I'm sure they've gone through several more versions. It's where you can get into a chat room and talk with a bunch of people. I tried it. I couldn't quite get it going to my satisfaction, but it's out there. Apparently there's a DS web browser under development from not obviously from Opera, but from some third-party dude. Obviously, this is probably going to be very slow and very incompatible, but hey, maybe for just doing basic,
check an email.
Check an email, maybe that's the way it'll go.
It's free, it's for me.
That's right. There's a new SuperCard out. Speaking of homebrew devices, the SuperCard Rumble version is out. Apparently, it allows you to attach Rumble features to certain buttons. So if you have a fire button, you can attach the Rumble pack to it when you patch your game to put it on your SuperCard, and it gives you the ability to do that. Sounds like a not very good deal to me. I'm going to look for the Slot 1 solution for the SuperCard along with a real Rumble pack in the bottom. That's the direction I'm going for.
Yeah, that's a little more interesting, actually.
Yeah, I agree. There is another little useful piece of software out called DS FTP, which allows you to turn your DS into an FTP server. Normally, I would smack this sort of product around. Why would you need an FTP server for your DS? Well, if you're one of those people that are constantly moving things back and forth to your SuperCard like a developer, and you're tired of pulling that card in and out of your DS over and over and over and over again, this is a way that you can move files from your PC to your DS. So that is kind of useful. Finally, there's a new image viewer out from the folks that created Moonshell, and if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it and you're into the homebrew scene, it is seriously one slick-ass application. The caveat, of course, is, as with all cool slick-ass applications for the DS, there's a caveat. You have to build a package of the pictures and then put it on the DS. So it's not like you can just run it and throw JPEGs on your card. Mm-hmm. You have to actually take all of your pictures and combine them into some weird MBF or some kind of file. I'll tell you what, it sure is cool once it works, but what a pain in the butt to get there. So that's worth taking a look at. Let's see, what else was there in the homebrew department? Several Slot 1 style supercards are coming out. When I say supercards, I mean like cards that let you run homebrew. Supercard has just become kind of a generic term like Q-tip or Frisbee.
Xerox.
So I use this term supercard sometimes interchangeably. And we got some good stuff coming out from there. We're going to talk about the DS Link at some point in time, and also a new one called the Ninja Pass is coming out, which offers all sorts of promises of good stuff.
Cool.
But we'll see what happens there. All right. Well, it's kind of old news now, but Yoshi's Island DS, formerly known as Yoshi Island 2, is everything that was in the original Yoshi's Island has made a return. The big change, of course, being the inclusion of new player characters. This time, aside from Baby Mario, Yoshi can get help from Baby Peach, Baby Wario, Baby Donkey Kong. Through the course of the level, you'll run into a sign that lets you change babies. The ability to switch babies and the fact that each baby has unique abilities leads to, quote, entertaining gameplay sequences. Baby Wario's got his magnet to collect coins. Baby Donkey Kong can use his strength to swing from vine to vines, etc., etc. And, of course, Peach has her umbrella. I was able to play this before it's streeted thanks to the Nintendo Fusion Tour, but now pretty much everybody's played it. So I'm not sure how much we actually really want to talk about it.
Yeah, I figure maybe we can have a review at some point. Yeah.
But it was sitting in my news list. I figured we'd talk about it. If you're not a super diehard fan of the original, then you're probably not going to be too disappointed. Most people say it's just not enough of a sequel. It's too much like the original, and the original was really good. I don't know.
It's like they're trying to play it safe and didn't want to disappoint a lot of people.
Yeah. So we'll give a full review of that at some point in time. The RPG powerhouse Level 5 apparently made Dragon Quest VIII and Rogue Galaxy. They are in the works for a new DS puzzle adventure game to be self-published in Japan early next year. And I don't really have any details, but, I see Dragon Quest, and I think everyone wants to know about Dragon Quest type stuff, so I threw that in there. Bubble Bobble Revolution has a bug on level 30 that stops you from being able to finish the game.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That is totally crazy. You would think that somebody would have figured that out. Codemasters acknowledged the bug and did a recall.
Did they actually do a recall? Because I still see tons of them sitting around, dude.
Yeah, see, I don't know if we're talking about what kind of recall exactly we're talking about.
I think the recall pretty much comes down to the fact that, okay, once everybody buys the faulty cartridges that are out there now, then we'll release a working version of it. Because, I don't know, man, I see them highly stocked at Circuit City, and even I think I even saw them at Target.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, they're all over the place. So buyer beware, to be sure.
Yeah.
Superman Returns got released while we weren't looking at the November 20th launch date, which, of course, is behind us now. And at the point of time it got released, there was no DS-specific media, no images, no video, and we usually know that means a really crappy game. I would say if you're on the fence about Superman Returns, you might want to wait for us to talk about it here on the show. It's not scheduled for review this time around, but it's probably not as horrible as it could have been, but it could have been a lot better, too. So,
and of course, Shane took some great video of it. And,
that's right, I did.
Yeah, scoped that out. Metropolis is pretty deserted, though, for such a bustling city.
Yeah, I just have to assume that because all the bad guys are there, they evacuated the city. So maybe you're fighting in New Orleans.
Yeah, the only thing left to do is, the only people that are making up the city are some wrecked cars on fire that you can blow out.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
It's
you know what sucks? You know what really sucks is I don't think this is possible. But you would have thought they would have used a microphone to
blow the fire out.
Yeah. How cool would that have been? And the game's got load times too. The load times look a little ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, look at the video. That should help you get a good idea of what's going on. Here we go. Let's see. Whitebird Productions. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that guy's name. That looks like French.
Benoit
Sokol. Sokol. Whitebird Productions Studios is working on Sinking Island, a dark detective adventure story set on a tropical paradise. At a millionaire's hotel, a crime is committed, and while the island seems to be sinking for some unknown reason, you as Detective Jack Norm. Don't you love those really obvious names? Jack Norm.
As compared to Jack Unnorm.
Unnorm. Have to find out who did it. Now, I took a look at some of the graphics and whatnot from the couple of the stills that they had, and I should have had a link for you, but I don't. Not a whole lot of information, but it didn't look that bad, so we'll have to see what happens. But, hey, anytime we can get a detective story on the DS, I'm interested.
Was this that game on that German site by any chance? Isn't that like a German developer, or is that something else I'm thinking of?
I don't remember.
It almost looks like a LucasArts thing, though, doesn't it? Like a point-and-click thing, kind of like LucasArts?
Yeah, but it looked a little more noir to it. It didn't have that cartoony look. It had more like that hotel
the whole
dust
basic
noir thing.
Yeah, the basic engine looks similar, though. Where you have it's all 2D and everything. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like I said, anytime I see the word detective adventure on the DS, I have to think about it because my wife's a big fan.
Yeah, sure.
Could Myst be coming to the DS? I don't see why not. Resident Evil made a pretty decent showing on the DS. Myst certainly couldn't be much more difficult. The trick to Myst is lots of storage. So,
did you care for Myst at all?
I was not a fan. No,
I thought it was pretty boring.
But a lot of people, including my wife, were total sluts for Myst, and it sold so many copies and blah blah blah. So hey, if it comes to the DS, who knows?
Plus, at the time, the CD technology was like the hot new thing, and
it's still really new. Yeah,
the game just really took advantage of it. I think that's what got everybody all heated and excited about trying
so too. Yeah, well, it got my wife to play video games, which is something unusual.
Cool, that's a bonus.
It's a bonus. So it's one of those wife conversion tools. You guys may need that.
Well, that's why the Wii is around.
That's right. Well, yeah, that's a whole other story. The Nintendo catalog, the Fall 06 catalog, apparently is making its rounds, and it is a beautiful-looking book. Chris was nice enough to pick one up for me and send it. This is like damn near coffee table material. In other words, it's nice enough. It doesn't look like a thrown-together brochure or a paper flyer from Best Buy.
Oh, no. It's certainly the best one they've done, I think.
Fantastic.
It's really
classic. Excellent. And it's free. And it outlines a lot of Wii stuff, a lot of DS stuff.
It's basically a DS catalog.
It really is.
It's like 20 pages of DS, 2 of GameCube, 2 GBA, and then you got a little bit of Wii at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of a primer.
Yeah, but definitely, like I said, it's one of those sort of collectible things you're going to wish that you had if you didn't already have.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not really seeing them around as much. It's almost like they got one big pile of them, and that was it.
That was
because all the little cardboard standees that are holding them, by the countertops and everything are empty.
Absolutely. So keep an eye out for them. They're probably pretty rare. If you have a flash card, like a super card or one of the other many numerous cards kicking around here, and you'd like some of those free downloadable demos that show up at GameStop, there is a wiki page of downloadables of most of those demos. All you have to do is basically go to the site. We'll give you a link. Download the image of your choice, drop it on your flash card, and you can play it. No more worrying about shutting the power off. No more worrying about, the download station not being available, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it's been around for a while now, too.
It has been, and I think like Volume 1 and 2 are up there.
Yeah, it had some E3 demos, too, from back in, 05, I guess.
Yeah, things that you will never see again, probably like the submarine demo, which is really cool.
Or the, isn't there a air hockey demo, too?
There's some kind of an air hockey demo, too.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. At the time, that was really cool, because when you had your super card, it was before the homebrew really took off.
Yeah.
And it was really neat to just be able to try these demos out right from the computer like this, and there's nothing illegal about that I could tell. I mean, these are free demos, of the actual games. And a lot of import guys out there might be interested because I think there's a Jump Superstar demo on there too.
If I'm
not mistaken. Yeah. I know that's a big game.
So that's good stuff. Speaking of flash cards, if you're a big Super Nintendo head, there is an emulator available for the Nintendo DS that you can play right on your DS flash card using standard game images that you'll have to provide for yourself. It's of course, the DS is a little bit underpowered to be running that kind of emulation, but apparently if, especially if you're willing to play without sound, apparently the emulation's pretty good. There's a compatibility list as well as the emulator, and we'll give you a link to where to pick that up at.
Nice.
Good stuff. The DS Link has its own wiki page now. Speaking of another yet homebrew device, the DS Link is a slot 1 solution, unlike the Super Cards. The DS Link allows you to use micro SD or trans flash to keep your Game Boy Advance slot open on your DS for good things like the Rumble Pack, the Opera browser cartridge, things that you'd like to have along, but you'd rather not, go without your Super Card or your flash card. So there's a wiki link there that talks about some reviews and what items work on it, what don't. Now, I'm not going to go into great extremes on that. But following soon in the next couple of episodes, I'm going to look at a couple of different Slot 1 devices because that's sort of the holy grail if you're really into, homebrew slant flash devices on the Nintendo DS. Slot 1 is definitely
pick yourself, yeah.
That's sort of like the golden chalice that everybody's looking for is the perfect Slot 1 solution. And so there's several of them coming out. We're going to have our hands on a couple of them as well as review the DS Link, and we'll tell you where to spend your cash. The rumored MP3 player that originally showed up as play-in in the great country of Japan is making its way here, as well as in Europe. I believe Europe already has a release date, and I don't have that in front of me. But we will give you a link that talks about the release info. And it is confirmed. We do not know anything about the video playback as of yet, but just be happy you'll have an MP3 player.
Yeah, I think it's like 512 to up to 2 gigabytes of SD.
Yeah,
so
SD. Nice plain SD,
and,
no freaky memory stuff.
It's going to have, a touch screen for controlling the, skipping of the
playback,
I guess the tracks, playback, and it's going to have like Mario. It's going to have little themes based around Nintendo. So that's kind of neat.
That's fairly cool. We'll have to see how that pans out. Of course, we'll have more information for you as it becomes available. Here's something really interesting, and this is something, of course, that sounds a lot better than it really turns out to be, but apparently in the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl games, of course only available in Japan right now, there appears to be a glitch where it's possible for you to walk yourself and get stuck inside of a wall. Now, we've never seen that with any 3D game engines, right? In any event, there is a solution that a DS download station, this is pretty cool, the things you go and download demos for.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently on Japanese DS download stations, you can take your DS with your Pokemon cartridge, and you can download a fix that will allow you, basically what I gather is it takes your saved game or whatever and moves you out of the wall. And then saves your game back without touching anything else.
Concept.
Yeah, if anybody's actually done this, like in Japan, with some of our Japanese listeners, do us a favor, drop us a line. I'd be curious exactly what the process was. I think that'd be interesting.
It's a shame they can't do that for here, obviously with something like Bubble Bobble Revolution's level 30 bug. Or
I'd say it's possible.
Star Wars trilogy,
Yeah, well, Star Wars, that's just way too
I think that's
big.
I think that's a lost cause.
That's a lost cause. But the level 30 bug fix, I could see that, reading your save game and changing you over to level 31 or something.
Yeah, I wonder how that works, though. I mean, obviously it's not going to write it to the card, right?
It could. I mean, that's obviously how the Pokemon Diamond Pearl thing works.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we're finally starting to get some decent-looking Star Wars titles. I mean, we've had a couple of failed starts here. I mean, Episode 3 had a couple of cool things, but overall it was a Game Boy Advance shoehorn. And we had, of course, Lego Star Wars, which, listen to our other shows. But now we're getting Star Wars Lethal Alliance, which actually is sort of like a PlayStation Portable type deal. And we're getting a version that looks fairly much like this PlayStation Portable version. Granted, the graphics are turned down a little bit. But some of the video, we've already seen a video come out for it. And I don't remember if the link that we've got goes to the video or not, but we'll see if we can dig it up. But the video shows some pretty nice looking graphics. So this will be one of those third person running around, sort of like, what was it, like Phantom Menace was, have that third party look.
You mean the original Phantom Menace console game? Well,
it was on the PC too. Yeah, it was on the PC.
I think it was,
that I played,
the PC one. Yeah, you're right. It is. At the time, that was kind of neat.
I liked that game. I don't know. I mean,
I don't know what it is. The graphics weren't that great, but at the same time, they were kind of cool. It was very slick looking.
It was very slick. I don't know how this is going to turn out, folks, but notice how we segue completely into a completely different game on the PC. Too funny. Hey, Lick Sang. Wow. I mean, this is really old news, but we'll bring it up anyway. Lick Sang's gone. They closed down. Sony apparently heavy-handed them into going bye-bye.
Yeah, kind of went over their heads in terms of funding a lawyer, more or less.
From what I understand, and somebody can, of course, write in and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, basically Sony went to like every country that Sony has a presence in and hired, top-notch attorneys in every single country, and they all attacked Lick Sang at once.
Right.
And Lick Sang knew that there was no way they could fight a unified front with, basically fighting every single country's version of Sony. So they said, okay, we're out of here. So obviously Lick Sang is now gone off of DualScreenRadio.com. We used to give you a little link to where you could order a game and import.
I think it was all around the import of the upcoming PS3.
Yeah.
I think they were, getting all, because this happened before with the PSP.
Yeah.
When they were trying to import them from Japan into Europe, and Sony didn't like that. And I don't quite understand what the point is. I mean, they're being sold. What's the difference? But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, me neither. But suffice to say, if you know of another Asian-type retailer, we already have PlayAsia. Yeah. But if you know of another retailer that you've done business with, you find reputable, that we could offer our listeners an alternative ordering system from our database to go instead of just PlayAsia. We'd like to give people a couple of choices. Let us know. Drop us a line.
Yeah, because right now we have Amazon and PlayAsia, and it'd be nice to have another importer on
It would be. It's always nice to.
Yeah, I mean, between the people in America who maybe want a Japanese game, or the people in Europe or the UK who want an American game.
Yeah, it's sort of a full-service deal.
Yeah.
So. Okay, well, the gloves finally came off. We found out about Disney's Medios. Or Medios. That's one of those things we've been kind of waiting. We heard about it like a year ago, hoping that this new version would offer us Wi-Fi. Not to be. Instead, they have changed the orientation of the game to sideways, so it's a lot like Brain Age now. You turn it on your side. And apparently they fixed a lot of the scratching type scenarios where, you could scratch and kind of, if you panicked and you start scratching, that, it would save your bacon. Apparently they fixed that, and they've, of course, skinned numerous levels with beloved Disney characters. Nightmare Before Christmas, Little Mermaid.
The game doesn't seem to have that, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but, that Japanese kind of feel to it anymore.
Yeah, they definitely...
It looks very Americanized now.
Yeah, and that could go either way.
It's
maybe
quirkiness.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the kids will play it because it's Disney now, and maybe more people will see it. And maybe they'll get the original. I don't know. I was really hoping that they'd slide Wi-Fi in here.
That's ridiculous. I don't understand why they didn't.
That's just goofy.
Then again, it's not Nintendo's not behind this one either.
Yeah, exactly.
This is so I don't know if that had something to do with it, but Nintendo's not publishing it like they did the original Medios.
Yeah.
But,
so.
And you know it's going to be a
Whatever.
$40 game probably
Yeah, exactly.
because of the IP. You got Disney involved. It's a Buena Vista game. Most of those games tend to go for like $40.
They're all pricey, yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Narnia, they all started out pretty high.
Yeah. Well, next up, hey, finally, I mean, we're finally starting to get a little bit of love.
This is awesome, dude.
This
I'm
is
really
truly
looking
great.
forward to this.
Konami has finally decided to bring its classic arcade hits, or at least some of them, home to the DS. We'll give you a link. Included in this, at least, are Circus Charlie, Contra, Gradius, Rock and Rope, Russian Attack, Time Pilot, one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Track and Field, and Ye Are Kung Fu, and they promise at least 4 more in the pack before it ships. So we'll send you a link. You can look it up and see all the good
Very
stuff
exciting.
that's coming. I'm very excited.
One thing that should be noted, though, these are the arcade versions. These are not the NES
versions.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people, and I have to admit, I'm one of them that preferred actually the NES version of Contra, for instance, over the arcade version.
Yeah.
I was never a huge fan of the arcade Contra.
Yeah.
But otherwise, man, this is going to be a great little release, man. I just hope it has high score save.
Yeah, we'll see.
Especially on Time Pilot.
Yeah, Time Pilot. I don't even think the arcade version saved the high scores on Time Pilot, but we'll see what happens. Couple pieces of Wii news, and we're going to try really hard, despite the fact that, you know, I almost have a Wii tattoo on my ass now. We're going to try really hard to keep this show as DS as possible. Throw you little tidbits of the Wii as we get information on it. I've got one. Chris is looking at getting one.
Yeah,
so
thanks to you.
Yeah, we're gonna give you pieces of information as we go. One of the pieces of news that showed up our way is the Wii tops the PC World's Christmas Top 10 list. Strangely enough, the DS is missing from that list. But it's kind of nice to see that. And Wii has already made pop culture status by appearing on South Park, with Cartman doing a Buck Rogers retro. Come on. Yeah, if you've seen the episode, you know exactly what we're talking about. If you haven't, shame on you. Go find a copy of it because, while it's not the best episode of South Park, it's really, really funny to see Cartman totally jazzing over the Wii. So
Yeah, I'm wondering if Nintendo paid them a little bit, you know?
You know, I read an
done it
article.
before.
I read something. It wasn't from Reggie or from What's-Her-Face, but it was from another one of them.
Perrin Kaplan. Yeah.
Perrin Kaplan. It was from one of the other ones. You know, she bugs me. Sorry if you're listening.
She seems to be the most clueless Nintendo employee if there
what
ever
is that?
was.
I don't get that. I mean, Reggie's like, the two of them are like opposites. Reggie lives and breathes Nintendo, and she like just phones in.
It's like,
what's going on.
I woke up this morning. What's going on? Oh, I work at Nintendo.
Oh, yeah,
What do you want me to say? I mean, it's some video game system. Yeah, if anything, man, go hire the blonde, you know, from the PR ads.
Absolutely. I mean,
least,
even if I don't want to listen to her, I'll just look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, yeah, we'll have lots more Wii information as time goes on. For those of you who are a subscriber to my VO videos, I've posted an hour-long video of me unpacking my Wii, setting it up, playing it. An interesting thing. Maybe we'll see if we can get a link to that. Some videos that were posted in our absence, and, you know, these are so, like, not up to date, and we apologize. Things have been very hectic. Mage Knight, Destiny Soldier, Kirby Squeak Squad, which I'm sure is going to get reviewed in an upcoming episode.
Yeah, fun game.
Gunpei, Bubble Bobble Revolution, Rainbow Islands Revolution, Conductra, the actually shipped Nacho Libre.
I can't get over that.
Yeah, I know. That just cracks me up. And, of course, the Disney Medios will have a video for you. And so we'll have we have tons of videos, some that we capped ourselves, some that, of course, will point you over to IGN and whatnot. So that pretty much wraps up the Touch and Go segment. The mail sack remains empty, and most of that's due to the fault that we changed host providers, and we're going to get into a little more of that in a minute. But we had to take the contact us form offline, and so a lot of people didn't get a chance to write in. But please, write us in. Let us know what you think of the show.
Back.
We're back.
And we can get the mail sack back on and going. Everybody seems to like the mail sack.
Yeah, we want to put our hand in your mail sack.
So give us some interesting
your
emails. You know, any interesting emails that have to do with the DS.
That'd be
the more interesting, the better. Any little situations, maybe some GameStop stories, something amusing, whatever. You know,
give us something.
80-year-old grandmother like New Super Mario Brothers. Anything that's interesting.
We'd love to know that stuff. Public PR stuff's good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit as we round down the show of what's going on the website. Obviously, we had a huge downtime. And we changed host providers, and that turned out to be more challenging than it should have. A lot of the data We had trouble moving the data. We had numerous downtime problems. It was ugly. For those of you who lived on the forums and were jonesing for a fix, we understand. We're sorry. But I think we're up and running smooth now. We shot tons more video to celebrate our coming back into the world, including some of the Opera DS browser from the European release, no more Japanese, Trauma Center, the 4-pack, Monopoly, Boggle, blah, blah, Battleship, the billiard action.
Yeah,
that's cool. And then we did a couple of other ones. So there's actually a video page now that you can go and see which videos.
Yeah, if you just click under the, go to a game, and there's actually a shortcut, right? There's a shortcut to all the games that have videos. But anyway, if you happen to be just browsing the database and you want to look up a video and see if the game, if it has one, a video, you can go under the affiliations. You'll see the links listed for either VO or YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's also like a video games with videos page. If you look on the left, you can go right there and you can see all of the see all the games that have videos. Look for your favorite game.
I'll tell you what, man. I'm hoping, finally for Christmas, I'll maybe get a video camera. And
good, you can start carrying your load, buddy.
Yeah, I can help us start doing some of these, man, because I'd love to get some videos on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. We have different interests in some cases, and I know that my time ends up being at a premium sometimes, and you have free time when I don't have free time, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So.
And we're down to that 2 hours now, difference in time.
Yeah, and that helps a lot. That helps a lot.
Thanks to daylight savings. So.
The other things going on the website, of course, all of the features and functionality are back as they should be. We broke the Japanese import filter. It is now fixed. I can't believe how long it was broken before somebody mentioned something.
I don't think it was very long. I remember actually having it on not too long ago. So
yeah, so
I think it was just something more recent.
So, like I said, we're pretty much back in business. And for those of you who have a Wii, you probably already know that your Wii has a system code that allows you to communicate and trade your code with other Wii owners. And you guys can send each other your little avatars and all that other cool stuff. We've implemented a Wii friend code exchange on the My DSR page. So for those of you who have jumped with the DS to the Wii and you're interested in finding other Wii owners that are listeners, then you can go there, register your machine information, and then that'll give you the availability. It works just like friend codes, folks. As soon as you put in yours, then you can see everybody else's.
And one thing real quick I want to just say before I forget is anytime somebody sees something on any of the games on the database, because it may be a game we don't own, believe it or not, but if you see something, an error or anything through the games, please just give us a holler, and maybe we can fix it. Cause
there is a link on there that says
really lagging with that stuff.
Yeah, report bad data. And what it'll do is it'll bring you up a nice, easy form. You don't even have to open your email client at all. Just click on this. It'll bring you up a thing. What's wrong with it? You don't have to type in the game or anything. It's really quick and easy. You see something wrong, pop open the screen, make a couple of notes, and then send it off to us. And that way we can get the database a little more cleaned up. We're looking at actually bringing on some editors, too. Some of the trusted people that have hung around the forums for a long time, people that we know, that we've worked with. And what we'll do is we'll assign them certain games. We'll give them each 10 games, and they'll have ownership of those games in our database. So their job will be to go and find in detail. Is there microphone usage? Is there a sendable demo? Write a nice, clean description for it, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
and I think
especially the people. You get a lot of people have been really contributing to the comments part for the game.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic.
I love sitting there reading them. I'm always clicking latest entries. I always read them. I think they're fantastic. Some of these guys, especially like Chris in there, another Chris. Chris. He does a great job of writing up some of the games, and I always look forward to reading what other people think. Because maybe I might have missed something, and then want to go back and check into it, just some little gameplay quirk that I may have missed up on.
Absolutely fantastic stuff, and we're looking forward to expanding that. We've already had people crying for a Wii database. Not sure how and when that's going to happen. Probably when Chris gets a Wii and he gets all jazzed about it, then we can start talking about how to expand that service.
Yeah, if I could find one.
If you can find one. But anyway, well, that's pretty much it, folks. Of course, we understand this show is taking forever to come out, and we're hopefully going to be a little more diligent in the future.
Appreciate everybody sticking with us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everybody's been so cool. It's like, we need our fix, man. We need our fix. And I totally appreciate that.
It had nothing to do with laziness. I mean, I don't even know if we even properly explained why. But, Shane obviously gave birth to a child. Well, his wife did. So
exactly.
It took up a little time. And you heard him at the beginning of the show. And then we had some site downtime while Shane transferred some stuff to a new server. So
yeah, it was all just a real ugly few
crazy.
weeks in terms of trying to coordinate time and getting stuff done. But of course, here you are, basically a 4-hour show. Hopefully, this will tide you over for a little while, get you at least through Thanksgiving. I should have a retro gaming radio show, cross plug there, available sometime during the holiday weekend. So look for that. Hey, that's about it. Anything else from you, Chris?
Yeah, and then, if you're looking for some good reading material, coming up, go to the bookstore and check out Retro Gamer magazine.
Yeah, good plug
another
for our
guy
boys.
just came over from the forums. So he happened to see, Shane's little Retro Gaming Radio interview. What was that in? Was that in Edge? That was in
Edge. Edge or Games TM.
What's the magazine?
Games TM.
Games TM, that's it.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the other one. Yeah, because I knew there was two. Shane just had this interview in Games TM. It's an import UK magazine. It's readily available at pretty much any Barnes & Noble anyway. I think I've seen it at Borders. But Barnes & Noble has a really good stock of import magazines. You can get Retro Gamer, and Games TM, Edge, which are more recent. They kind of put EGM and GamePro to shame, basically.
They really do. It's good stuff.
Really, really good publications. They're a little pricey, but if you're looking for some good reading material, check it out, because that's where one of the guys from the forum, this little cross plug there, came over and found us. So good stuff.
So I think it's issue 48 and 49. My interview that I did with them is in there. Of course, it's mostly retro gaming oriented, but we do talk about the DS a little bit, so our listeners here might find that interesting as well.
Yeah.
It's a 2-issue thing. I think it's 48 and 49, but you'd have to double check. Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Good stuff, guys. Well, thanks for sticking with us, and we'll be back hopefully in a couple of weeks with yet another fresh episode of Dual Screen Radio. Maybe we'll actually be caught up on the news this time and can give you something that's less than a month old.
A little more fresh.
A little more refreshing.
Hey, it's more interesting when we talk about it anyway.
I totally agree with you. All right, well, until next time, folks, this is Shane R. Monroe.
And this is Chris Hentschel.
And remember that listening
is good.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.